MoneyBoy. Trade. Trade. Private jet flights overseas, dime pieces coming by the lead. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas, dime pieces coming by the lead. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Counting hundreds with my amigos. Blue water, frozen sub-zero. Hit a lick, flip it twice, break bread with my people. Who knock and look out the people? Clutching my desert eagle. Cock, aim, squeeze, trigger, empty clip and reload. Pints, pills, 2 kilo. Bitches coming in trio. Shaking all ass, beat the pot like Migos. Last second shot and one. Free throws, no Master P, but I'm looking for the free code. Pints, pills, 2 kilos. Bitches coming in trio. Shaking all ass, beat the pot like Migos. Last second shot and one. Free throws, no Master P, but I'm looking for the free code. Private jet flights overseas, dime pieces coming by the lead. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas, dime pieces coming by the three. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Too high geek. Top floor, nosebleed seat. 4A, 4AB. Push star, got no key. MoneyBoy, Lou got said. Take a picture, paparazzi. Quaaludes, Bill Cosby. Rape a hoe, no, not me. Hashtag MB3. Primetime NBC. On lane, I do me. Dial on, I spit heat. Private jet flights overseas. Dime pieces coming by the lead. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas. Dime pieces coming by the three. Piano witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, rack, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Toxic Masculinity Show. I'm your host, MoneyBoy Trey, and today I am joined by Dr. LaQuanda Jefferson. She got a whole bunch of letters behind her name, so I think she got like 6 degrees like Umar. I'm not sure, but I plan to find out. And if any of you guys have any questions for Dr. Jefferson as well, the link is down there pinned in the comment section. How are you doing today, Dr. Jefferson?
Pretty good.
I know I suckered you in with the Naomi Osaka stuff, but I really want to get out in your business, so it's kind of what we're going to do. Before we kick it off, please let these good people know where to find you on YouTube and on Facebook.
You can find me the easiest way, I think, is to just Google Doc LQJ, DOCLQJ, and Doc LQJ Speaks, like the hashtag. I am the host of Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I'm a psychotherapist, transitioned from medical doctor years ago. Seems like a whole different age ago. But yeah, that's me.
All righty. So I guess we can kick off with the Naomi Osaka stuff. She's been in the news lately because she went to a tournament. Damn it, man. She went to a tournament and she won the tournament, kicked ass, but she didn't want to do her media. I can't stop this damn phone. She couldn't fulfill her media obligations, and so they told she cited mental health, and so they told her, well, if you don't talk to the media, which is part of your job when you signed up for this tournament, then you might be suspended or fined. And so they fined her the first time, and she just decided to leave the tour. And earlier this year, Kyrie Irving also missed some games citing mental health. And is that a legitimate reason to miss work?
It depends on the person. So some people have to take mental health breaks because it's an essential component to remaining balanced or calibrated. just in general. So if you ask if it's an essential reason or if it's a legitimate reason to take a break from work, I gotta say yes, because I've written several excuse notes for patients in the past. Because some people, you have to be permissive with yourself and you have to be gentle with yourself. You got to be able to gauge when you're in over your head in general. I know I've heard a little bit of conversation around the Naomi situation, but also a lot of people, not just celebrities, but people in general struggle with anxiety disorder. She's generally young and she's at that identity phase, of life where she's going through a certain identity crisis. She's trying to find herself, but she's also a celebrity in and of her own right because she's talented. So yeah, lots of eyes watching you, lots of stuff going on. That's definitely going to cause some increased anxiety for any regular person. So obviously she's been struggling with this feeling of being overwhelmed for a period of time, and if she feels like she needs a break or she feels like she doesn't want to talk to the press, I don't think that's something that somebody should be pressuring anybody to do because everybody's not a public speaker.
I gotta push back.
I'm just saying.
I agree because I have anxiety. It's one of the reasons I smoke at the beginning of every show because I'm always anxious and nervous right before the show starts. So I understand that, but and I also understanding her saying, you know what, I need some time away from all of this because I did it last week. I got back last week, and this is my first stream since then. I just been dead from social media, but she chose to go to this tournament, and when she chose to sign up and go to this tournament, it's required that you have to speak to the media. You don't get to come in, kick ass, and then say, I don't want to talk. And then when they ask you, why don't you want to talk? You cite mental health. Mental health should have kept you from going to the tournament in the first place.
Yes and no. Right now, the tournament does not look like it typically would for a couple of reasons. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of a pandemic, post pandemic shift. So the world is a lot safer for people who have generalized anxiety disorder and severe anxiety disorder because now they don't have to be in front of large crowds per se. So the watchful eyes that have been there for oh so very long, they're not there anymore. A lot of the mitigating factors that cause them to come away from the anxiousness and the overwhelming feelings that they have are in place because of COVID. So the reduced amount of people in the stands, reduced amount of people coming to watch them perform and things like that. French Open is a huge thing. But what's on the TV or people on the TV is very, very different than having an in-person experience where you're knowing you're going to be critiqued, and public speaking is a very critiqued component. Um, and people in general, that's just kind of what they do. You never know who's looking for their 5 minutes of fame. Everybody becomes a meme nowadays or a GIF, whatever that is. So it is what it is. I think that we have to, like I said, be permissive with ourselves and say, okay, this is what is too much for me. And this is kind of like what's okay for me, and give yourself gradual moments to step into the light and then some to step out.
I don't think you get that when you're a public figure or celebrity. I don't think you get that leeway. It's kind of part of the job.
Well, if you were to say she was a news anchor, right? I would get that. Well, halfway. But not necessarily in her position. Her celebrity status is her ability to play a sport, not speak.
It's part of the job, though. It's like all the NFL and NBA players, though. That's just part of the job. You have to help sell the league by talking to reporters. It's how you get as much money as you do by helping us promote this thing. It's
Yes,
literally an obligation.
Well, yes and no, because the thing is, like, some people you will never put them in front of a camera, right? And they're playing sports or playing basketball or whatever. Public representation officers are responsible for going in, developing speeches and things like that for them in advance. But even if your PR person or your media person has developed a speech, if you are a person that generally freezes when you're speaking or freezes when you're performing and stuff like that in front of a large group of people, there are a lot of things that you might have to go through in order for you to become the resilient you that's able to navigate and perform in the capacity in which your occupation requires you to. So she may need more prep, you know.
Doc, you sound like you're enabling this woman.
Not necessarily, but just
How long has she been pro? I don't know. I think if you had notes, I was asking how long has she been pro.
I don't know. I've only heard of her last 2 years or so, 3 years or so. You know,
I I know she got big when she beat Serena a couple years back, but I mean, at this, I guess I'm just at the point where if you knew you were having mental health issues, why did you sign up to play anyway, knowing that you were going to have to talk to these people afterwards?
well, see, that's the thing. So all mental health issues are not the same. They're not all the same. To some aspect or some degree, some of them are on a continuum to others, but they are very, very different.
I
People
did
with
not know that.
social anxiety have pervasive patterns of avoidance, nervousness, anxiousness, jittery type of feelings, right? Also, they struggle with racing thoughts, feeling overwhelmed, or a sense of things are coming to an end for them or life in general very soon. So when they get in front of crowds of people, they see these types of symptoms come upon them all at the same time oftentimes. People with other types of mental health disorders, those people may not have those same symptoms nowhere near them, right? So everybody's condition is different, just like each individual is different. So the thing about social anxiety disorder is it's generalized, or is the central theme is typically social settings, but you don't know when it's going to come about, when it's not. You might have heart palpitations while you're in bed alone. So it's about how you perceive, what your perception is. It's more of a neurocognitive based emotional response type of disorder, if I had to kind of explain the complexities of it. So you can't see it coming on oftentimes in advance, like way in advance.
So, what is your medical specialty, and what do all them letters behind your name mean? Because it's a whole bunch of them, and I can't even pretend to act like I remember all of them.
It's too many to start.
I know.
I have a lot of specialty areas.
Well, what's your passion?
I'm a marriage and family therapist who is a trauma informed provider. So I treat a variety of severe mental illnesses. One of my specialty areas is personality disorders. So a lot of people send folks that they assume or they suspect are going through those types of issues to me. I treat, of course, anxiety, depression, and other disorders that have those features: post traumatic stress disorder, stress related disorders in general, um, systemic or communication disorder, selective mutism, autism. It's a wide range of things that I treat. But hey, urban therapist, what's going on? What you doing? You need to be on here talking about this. So, but no, I have a lot of letters behind my name because I'm also a certified family life educator. So I provide education and um, other trainings for clinicians who are in this field. oversight for the field and development, and of course, a lot of social justice advocacy. I do a whole lot, so my hand is kind of in a lot of stuff.
Ah, so what's some advice you could give to a person that may be struggling with anxiety, such as myself? I know where it comes from, but pretend I didn't. What advice would you give me for my anxiety that I have before every show?
Um, that's kind of normal. It's the only time you have it just before a show.
Yeah, and when I'm in large crowd, when I mean large crowds, I mean like thousands of people. I'm cool with hundreds, thousands of people. Like Times Square, that's on my bucket list. I want to go to Times Square, but I'm terrified because I don't want to be around that many people.
So what's the centralized theme when you're in a crowd of people? Like, what are your thoughts? What's driving your reluctance to be around those people?
Too many energies that I can't control.
So what's the worst thing that you could think of that could happen in that case?
Nothing. I just get contaminated by a whole bunch of energies that I can't control. That's why I say I
Well,
can't do it for long periods of times. I can do it, but I ain't trying to be out there all night. An hour or two, I'm out.
so but you go in and out of your home and places like that quite frequently. You're not reluctant to just leave home, right?
No.
Okay. Well, what I would say is try to do a little bit of self examination, right? Where we're asking the questions that are going to give us some level of indication of what's going on for us when we find anxiety coming upon us, and then what's happening in the moment, because anxiety disorder is one diagnosis, but we also equally have panic disorder is a pervasive symptom of panic. So I mentioned heart palpitations and things like that, sweating, the sense of feeling like the world is closing up around you, you're going to die, the world is going to end because you're in these spaces and stuff like that. So that's panic disorder that is associated typically with severe anxiety disorder. So I would say figure out what it is that happens for you just before those symptoms start to present, right? And that's typically somewhere it's associated with the trigger, because sometimes we think the trigger is the event or precipitating factor, the thing that happened, but oftentimes triggers could be colors, scents,
Synesthesia.
somewhat. So I would say just kind of get in touch with the things that create anxiety for you, nervousness for you, that is not appropriate for the event. That's why I asked you if it's just for situations where you're about to go in front of a lot of people, because that would be normal anxiety, stage fright, as they would have it, right? That's a very normal thing for people that don't walk out and speak to crowds of people every single day, right? I'm a whole entire public speaker. I'm speaking at conferences worldwide. I've been everywhere. And so I speak about marriages, relationships, people, severe mental illness, medical issues, holistic wellness. I speak about a lot of things and I speak to very large crowds. And for me, because I do that quite frequently, I'm a person who finds one person in the crowd and I'm just going to converse. But for the lay person who doesn't do that on a regular basis, of course, they would present with some level of nervousness or anxiety, anxiousness, overwhelming feelings, and things like that, because that's a normal criteria thing for folks that don't do it every day.
Well,
So,
mine stems more from wanting to do a good job. I don't want to screw up, so that's where my nervousness comes from at the beginning. But typically, once it comes on, I'm fine. It's just like right up until
at
the
the end,
red light comes on, kind of jittery and all over the place.
yeah, that's
Who?
that's sort of that's normal. You know, you're looking for a particular outcome, and it's possible that you're not sure whether or not the outcome is going to be what you're looking for. Whenever we have a particular type of set of standards that we are supposed to satisfy, it's supposed to make us nervous. That's what actually motivates us to do a good job.
That's why I said I know where my it comes from, but I was just saying, what advice could you give me or
Tap into
someone else? Man, is that you?
Yes, sir. How
Sound
y'all
like you
doing this
running some.
afternoon?
No, I'm saying, sound like you running some water.
Might be my fan. Hold on.
But yeah, I would say tap into your resiliency factors, the things that have you in that space, and allow them to kind of move you into a space of comfort so you can be solidified and moving forward and getting the thing done. Um, just know that it's definitely normal for people to have some level of anxiety, but when we start to notice that there is a continual pervasive pattern where we're avoiding situations and we're avoiding things that we normally would be very much engaged in, and it's for a length of time, right? And it's different than our norm criteria behavior for one, and it's not appropriate for the event or the thing that's before us for two. That's when we kind of need to start asking the questions: do I need to see somebody and try and figure out whether or not I can kind of gauge or grow in a way that creates more resiliency factors?
Mad Militant, is there something you would like to ask the doctor, sir?
Um, Basically, y'all was basically on point because I'm having the same issues as you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to doing this on YouTube and stuff like that. It's like you get the anxiety as far as before the show, but then it's like about 7 to 8 minutes in, it's like you're full throttle. Sometime, you know what I'm saying? I think it comes with the comfortability of the subject, or you know, me personally, I think I just need to do more work before I go live and stuff. You know what I'm saying? More homework
That
research. Then I feel more.
that's not a question, man.
No, I was saying basically I'm having the same issue as you, but you know what I'm saying? It
Oh,
turns
okay.
into something else, you know what I'm saying, minutes later. But it's like that start of that, that nervousness of like the doctor was saying, I'm not if you're not being used to um talking in front of crowds and stuff like that, even though if you're in front of a camera, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, it is because you know that people are on the other side of the camera, and especially if you're putting out content on the internet, right? Essentially, anybody can stumble across it. Anybody can view it. Anybody can see it. Anybody can comment on it. You have to allow yourself space, and like I said, permission, right? You talked about doing some extra work and being prepared and things like that. That definitely works for some people. Um, for some people are kind of like off the cuff. And after a while, I think once you've been doing it for so long, sometimes it just becomes that. Like every once in a while, I may make myself some notes if I have a very specific topic that I'm going to discover, discuss so that I can cover all the speaking points. But typically, when I go out and I do conferences or trainings and stuff like that, everything is off the cuff. I don't go and I don't do a whole prepared speech because I'm not a person that wants to be reading lines while I'm giving or rendering insight, you know what I mean, or training. So it's, but I think everything is about what works for you. You know, everything in spaces and in small snippets and figure out what works for you. I mean, there are a ton of interventions, ton of things that could work for people to help them calm themselves down. I don't advise smoking though.
Ma'am, white Jesus put this here for me to enjoy. It has medicinal purposes as
Mhm.
well as mind altering purposes as well, and I'm going to partake. Little, I think that question from Lil Puppet is for you. I don't even know what that word means, and
So
if it's
people who suffer with agoraphobia, those people are extremely afraid of leaving home or their safe place or whatever.
oh,
Um, and you have some that are really just afraid of heights in general, right? And they feel like if they leave, some of these people feel like if they leave home, they're going to be met with death, or there are a lot of things out there that can hurt them, harm them. There is a mitigating factor that prevents them from stepping out into spaces where other people are involved because they feel very similar to kind of what you said earlier. You were like, well, it's a lot of excuse me, unforeseen factors. So you can't control people, can't control all those folks in the element. When we say those things, that's why I asked you the follow-up question. What's the worst thing you think is going to happen in that crowd of people? Because once we can identify that component, right? And we can identify what the fear is around, then we can kind of reduce the fear and we can step out into those spaces where we feel like, okay, something is going to happen, because then we can start symptom reduction. We can start kind of debunking some of those myths inside of our perception that says that this place or this space is the only safe space. You know, we can start feeling like we can be safe in, excuse me, safe in other spaces, or people can provide safety for us, or mantras can provide safety for us. You know what I'm saying? That's what I say. Tap into what works for you, because there are a lot of things that you could try. Meditation.
You just said you don't suggest what works for me.
No. I said I don't suggest smoking. The cessation of smoking
That works for me.
creates holes underneath the bottom part of the brain. So oxygenation and the flow of oxygenation in your brain is what keeps you balanced, stable, and helps you live out a healthy life where you're able to constantly build more brain matter. So you're reducing the neuroplasticity of your brain by smoking. That's what I'm saying. So that's the reason I say I don't recommend smoking. But I mean, you can do what works for you.
I feel like you were pot shaming me, ma'am.
Of course not. Of course not. There's lots of people who smoke pot, you know. Some people, you know,
I was
eat
about to say,
pot.
Have you ever written a prescription? Have you ever written a prescription for weed?
Mm, um, not in this country, but definitely in some other countries I have, because it was the best out. But typically I use that as a last resort for like people who are going through terminal illness where pain is a serious thing for them. The same with morphine. You have to tread very lightly, you know, when you're using those types of things. Because a lot of people think that cannabis is the worst substance on the earth, right? But it really isn't. There are a lot of medicines that we use and we write prescriptions for that are equally damaging on the brain. And I always say have to, if it's a last resort, right? You know, um, you kind of do what you got to do. If a person only has 5 or 6 months to live, potentially, does it really matter how much neuroplasticity they have?
Hey, Constance. Dennis, do you have any? No, it doesn't.
if they
Dennis, do you
Yeah, I
have any
don't know. Did
questions?
she said she's speaking negatively about marijuana, but do you prescribe prescription drugs, pharmaceutical drugs,
I don't
Ritalin,
believe
things
in.
like that?
So I definitely don't. I definitely advise against the prescription drug Ritalin and amphetamines in general. And that's one of the main reasons that I transitioned to psychotherapist versus medical doctor coming into the United States, because I didn't want to practice pharmaceuticals. Practicing medicine means that you're holistically looking at the brain, the body as one, and you look at what's best for the entire system. Everything starts in the brain. So I don't believe in prescribing medications. I believe in Ayurvedic cures to mental illnesses, physical ailments in the body, because they all work equally. And I've actively practiced medicine in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, in Finland, in these places. And the outcomes have shown me that these other means are sometimes way more effective and they have no side effects, because it's about herbal medicinals or Chinese medicine, so they say, versus pharmaceuticals.
Tore your ass up, Dennis.
I was just asking, because I smoke medical marijuana, so it helps me with my anxiety.
What makes
Keeps me
your weed
calm.
better than my weed?
Yeah, they're both the same.
No, my
I didn't
weed
get
better than
mine
yours.
from a dispensary. I bought mine from Little Tony.
Yeah.
I live in
actually,
California. My weed's better.
actually, that medical weed is a little bit more potent. I would say.
I know. I
Well, it's
smoke.
different strains of weed in general. In general. So there are some strains of weed that are more potent generally. speak.
Way.
Yeah, so it's all in where you get what you get. But
If you
Dennis,
don't mind me
the
asking,
sensation
where
of
did you
smoking
receive
is
your
legal,
doctorate
not
from?
necessarily. University of Wisconsin School of Medicine.
ooh, a
Okay,
badger.
that's what's up.
She's a badger.
Honey badger. Okay, that's what's up.
It's
So
not a
so
honey
so so
badger, sir. It's just a badger.
Oh, I'm gonna
so if the
Google her.
brain,
So I'm gonna look her up after this podcast is over with.
I shouldn't have lit your black ass up here. I knew you were gonna cause trouble.
How am I causing trouble? I'm gonna Google her. I want to see her credentials. I want to know more about her. I'm gonna research her.
Nigga, you don't even do that much research on your medical doctor. Where did your son's doctor graduate from, motherfucker?
My personal doctor,
Yes, and your son's.
Stanford.
Well, when you go in,
You just made up some shit, nigga.
no, when you go
What,
into
baby?
the office, we have our things inside of our personal office outside of the regular room that we see you in. So it's not,
He lied.
you know,
He
it's
just came to cause trouble.
I ain't
Ignore
causing
him.
no trouble. I'm being.
oh, I'm not
I'm
his
trying
worried
to get
about
medical
educated.
marijuana is working.
You know, I feel like this young lady could educate me on a few topics.
If she's doing it, why you gotta figure out where she graduated from?
it's
Because I
important.
gotta do my research. I want to make sure she didn't get her doctorate in Mexico or something. You know.
I mean, where did your boss get his doctorate from or his degree from?
I don't got no balls.
Holy moly. Holy moly. Intermission.
Well, I feel like the first thing is this. I think some people feel like certain educational institutions are important, more important than others. But to be honest with you, neither is better than the other.
I
Um,
just want to make sure you didn't get it off University of
So
Phoenix.
so are you unemployed, sir?
Nope.
Are you a drug dealer?
Nope.
So your boss, we were saying, where'd your boss get his degree from?
That's not the question I'm asking. I'm not
Okay,
asking
well
my boss to
you're the
educate me on
boss. Where did
anything.
you get? Well, you're the boss. I want a shot with you. Where you get your degree from?
San Francisco State.
I fuck them. I don't know what that is.
San Francisco State? You ain't never
I
heard of that?
I don't fuck with San Francisco State. You see how crazy just even saying I'm gonna research that means? So if you don't like the college you went to, then what?
I was just asking a question, my brother. Trying to get
Cause
to
you, cause
trying to get
you're
to
being
know her. Trying to get to see where she's coming from.
okay, Dennis.
curious.
Okay, Dennis. Go ahead. Speak your speech, player.
I'm not speaking my speak. I was just trying to. I just my first time hearing of the young lady, so I was just trying to get to know a little background about her. You know what I mean? That's all it was. I
Go
wasn't
ahead.
trying to discredit her or
Ask
anything.
more questions, sir. Go ahead.
I don't have any more questions. I was listening to her and get educated about mental health.
Ask a question, nigga. You ain't got no more
I'm
questions.
mentally
That was
fit. I'm
it.
not. I'm mentally
So
fit. So
you
I don't need
came
to
up
ask no
here.
questions for
Wait a minute. Wait
myself.
a minute.
Hold on, go
So
back to the previous comment so I can read her comment. The girl that you posted prior to this one.
oh, she just spoke to me.
No, no.
I'm going down through all of it. So Dennis, you came up on the panel for the sole intent of just asking where she got her degree from.
No, I came to be educated. That's why. So I asked
So
the
ask some
educator.
more questions, nigga.
All right, you want to know a question? I want to know, how do you feel about giving Ritalin to kids with HDAD or whatever they call it? Are you
ADHD.
for it?
I think that if you go to my platform, there's a lot of conversation around that.
Where's that platform?
I thought that was made up.
But I have a two-part
So
question. Like
Ritalin
you
is
said, you're not for marijuana, right? Giving
Wait,
people marijuana. But
Dennis,
how do you feel about people giving
Dennis,
children marijuana to
Dennis,
combat
Dennis.
let me
disorder?
Can she answer the first question first?
so but two things. I'm really good at tracking. So the first thing is Ritalin is the thing because I heard the other guys mention that one. However, they don't use Ritalin as often as they used to. I mean, it's a host of amphetamines out there, host of stimulants that they use to treat ADHD. Um, so, Katie, I want to address your other question, but so you were asking, how do I feel about kids who are treated with amphetamine of any type? I feel like my personal preference. in my professional opinion, is that's a inundated practice, and I feel like there is so much research out there on the efficacy of other means that are Ayurvedic, that are more natural, holistic approaches, and I feel like those practitioners who are prescribing those drugs could definitely use other means. However, in no way can I shame or push another practitioner to go a way that they don't, agree with. I do feel like everybody operates from their own preference. And what drives our preferences and the way that we operate in medicine is what we believe in. Very similar to people on the outside moving and choosing to operate how they would operate. Um, but yeah, I'll say that to sum up what my views are. But as I said, my views are definitely on my platforms. I've spoken about
Tell them where these platforms at. Where can they find these platforms?
If you type Doc LQJ Speaks, or if you go on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Doc LQJ. LinkedIn is the same, Doc LQJ. Everything is pretty much that. Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson is my main platform to talk about things as far as podcasts, and they're pretty much everywhere that you can find podcasts and that sort of thing.
What's your
But yeah, I
YouTube page?
talk a lot about that. So that would be
What's,
whole segment. YouTube is hard for me to remember.
I'll put it in the
Yeah.
chat. I'll find it.
But yeah, so on my YouTube, when he posts the link, there are a lot of segments I've done with other clinicians around the globe. Like we've done global conferences and we've talked about mental health, and we've talked about different diagnoses and mitigating factors. We've talked about precipitating events. We've talked about ways that you can manage your symptoms and things like that. So we've done a lot of that kind of stuff. So you can find those and links to other platforms that stem off of that one as well on there. So I want to address Katie's question. She said, why do they charge more if it's the same? Medical marijuana is very expensive. And so when you say they, I think it's fair to assume you mean dispensaries, or I don't know.
They charge more because it's tax. That's why.
There you go.
Yeah. Cause man, I paid $40 for a vape cartridge in Vape Vegas. I was like, I get them shits like 2 for $50, 40 for one, and I normally get for here. I get them 2 for $50 at home.
It go by the name brand sometimes.
Sort of the name brand situation is also a taxation thing as well. It's about finance. It's about making money. The pharmaceutical companies are about making money. America is a company founded off of capitalism. So you have to, that's the best way I can put it. Even if you talk about some of the medications that are prescribed for you from your medical doctor, right? You can go and get a prescription for Motrin from your doctor and you get ibuprofen. It's the same thing. However, it's in a different brand sequence. So a different pharmaceutical company is producing that particular drug. So you're paying for the name. Same thing about bags in retail. Michael Kors bags are the same as Coach bags and any other bag. You can get the same design. Marc Jacobs makes the same exact design that Coach makes. Why would you pay more? You pay $1,500 for the Marc Jacobs bag, and you could go into Coach and pay $598 for the same bag.
And Michael Kors watches are nothing but fossil watches, by the way.
Sometimes it works like the grocery store. Sometimes
it's working like the
people. Sometimes it works like the grocery store and stuff. If you ain't really paying attention, if you're buying your loaf of bread, some of your bread is coming from the same people. It's just about the distributor, you know what I'm saying, or something like that.
Yeah, because they come from the same people, because a lot of these different names are owned by the same parent company. So if you look at, I don't want to put a company out there, but if you were to say like Bimbo, Wonder Bread is made by Bimbo, but also Sara Lee bread is made by Bimbo, but the Sara Lee brand is going to be more expensive. you know. So I think it's just about money.
But
Um,
is capitalism wrong though?
No, because the doctor has. I mean, the doctor wants to be compensated for his knowledge and his or her knowledge in their job.
not that's not necessarily.
So when have you worked for free, Doctor Jefferson? Other than when you had an intern.
I
The
do
inquiring minds want to know.
I do a lot of free work.
But
I mean,
you know
just
what I mean by free work. That's not the
No,
I
same.
mean,
Your
she
charitable works isn't the same as like just being a doctor for free all year. Just
I mean, she worked for free. I'm pretty sure quite a bit if she just walk around with 3 minutes of advice for somebody or something like that,
well
just from what she know.
that too, because I get paid for consultations. But the thing is, I do a lot of free work.
all right, Kevin
That's
Samuels.
that's a really good question, because the reality is this: it's not enough practitioners out there doing enough free work, because oftentimes they have that whole notion that I want to be compensated for everything I do. Um, as to say that you don't realize that there are people who don't have access to the resources that you provide professionally, and that they don't have the same need that other people who can afford it. So, um, inside of my practice, we have various scholarships that are funded by me, and then we have separate scholarships that are funded by people who come in for therapy that are in a higher income bracket that pay into that for people who can't afford therapy. So, on average, I would say I see somewhere between 40 to 50 clients for free per quarter. Um, and I see another maybe 20 or so per quarter at a reduced rate, because the funds are now limited and running out. Because what we put in, we typically put at the beginning of the quarter, and then it kind of, you give it to people for their sessions as you go on. But, I think that that's a necessity. You have to be able to be fair in doing your part in helping out society if you're going to also equally make complaints about society. I feel like you're either a part of the problem or a part of the solution. So that's why I do what I do.
Well, I didn't mean like, but I didn't mean. Well, you know what I meant. You want to be compensated, not every time, but you want to be compensated for your job. I think everybody does, no matter what you do. You still do your charitable works and stuff, but overall, you want to get paid for what you know and do.
Yeah, and compensation looks different for different people. So when we
Yeah.
talk about financial compensation, right? I'm not going to go down the whole of how physicians and pharmaceutical companies pay into one another, because I feel like, I would be doing an injustice to other people that are out there, and I'm not here for that.
Can we get the tea? Can we get the tea on another show then?
Mm, nah, they gag order me real quick. But um,
We gotta block your face out. Hide your name.
everybody has to find a way to pay back the abundance of student loans. The vast majority of people who go to med school don't go on scholarships like I did. They don't go on um, what do you call those, tuition assistance programs and things like that. They have a tremendous amount of student loan debt when they come out of college, and as a result they have to pay that stuff back. So there are a lot of means for them to connect themselves and network in the industry to make sure that that money is paid back. And I have no quarrels with them. Choose to live your life and your profession how you wish. I just decided to do something different. So it is what it is.
How do you feel about the student loan debt forgiveness that Biden promised and apparently reneged on to all y'all people who ain't black that didn't vote for him? I mean, that did vote for him. My bad. I'm not black because I didn't vote for him, but y'all folk who did, because he said he was gonna forgive y'all student loans. How do you feel now?
I ain't black either.
I don't feel like I don't feel like most people that voted for Biden really voted for him for him to forgive student loans, because I think that they knew that was a very far reach. Um, Considering all the avenues that have to be passed in order for things like that to happen, right? It's not, obviously you can't make that happen. So it's, I just feel, I feel like
You want to laugh at the people too, ha ha, just like I
they're,
did. It's okay.
well, no, I think that you have to take a pragmatic approach to life, right? Because life isn't this fairy tale where you live it and it becomes what it is that you think in your mind it should be as a result of you doing nothing to get there, right? So sacrifice is a component that is necessary for you to get to where you're going in life. And sometimes those sacrifices look all sorts of ways. I think that people have to be honest with themselves, though, at the onset and say, okay, how much am I willing to give to get this aid? So there are already student loan forgiveness programs out there for people that work in community mental health centers, but they don't want to work in community mental health centers because they get paid less than what they consider their work to be.
Yeah.
You only have to work there for like 2 or 3 years, I believe. And then they'll wipe away everything that you paid to go to college. I think it's something like that. If you're a social worker in school right now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have a student loan or whatever. But that's typically how that goes. So also in the school system, I think if they work the school system jobs for a length of time, they wipe that debt. So there are a lot of ways, I think, for people to get their student loan debt wiped away even now. I think that some people in some occupations don't have that option, because they're not in those, what do you call it, first responders group of people or whatever they call it. But that's how I feel about that. I feel like you got to be pragmatic, make it make
I have a
sense.
question.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I want to know, how do you feel about that COVID vaccine, and have you taken it or have received it?
Ooh, that
Watch out,
really you violating HIPAA laws, but ooh, good
Which-
question.
I can't.
watch the C word.
Man, come on now, don't get all PC on me now.
No, I can't publicly comment on that because of my role with the federal government. So I can't publicly. But I think that people,
Have
if
you,
they feel,
have you received the shot? Can you answer that question?
Great answer.
I feel like if people feel that the
It's a
shot
yes or no question. Have you received the shot?
Sir, she really doesn't have to
Which
tell
call?
you that.
Which call?
That's
Hey,
breaking
Dennis.
HIPAA laws.
Hey Dennis,
I know, but I'm just asking.
Dennis, it's some bull crap. You know what I'm saying? Because
I
truthfully,
haven't taken
my
it.
girl has the same titles as her. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Because I remember
she doing good right now.
hearing it,
And it's like it's
That was
fucked
like
up
2
because
years ago.
they really don't even want to tell us nothing, even if they fucking dating us. You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
you're,
they scared to talk on the phone. They
yeah,
scared to do a lot of shit because I mean, it's bull crap.
anyway. But I will say that if people feel like it's right for them, then definitely explore what your risks are associated with your receiving the vaccination with your healthcare provider. And if they can't give you the answers, make sure that they connect you with a person who is contracted federally with the government and works for the CDC, so you can get those answers so that you can make an informed decision as to whether or not it's a viable thing.
But I got Obamacare, so I think they're trying to set me up for failure.
Which
You set yourself up for failure when you got on Obamacare.
I mean, truthfully, after Fauci's emails done came out and we seen what we seen, I think y'all need to throw away some rules out of y'all's book too, because that's supposed to be the head doctor that everybody relying on. And y'all just need to start telling us what the deal is with these vaccines and stuff.
You know, I definitely was one of those people that advocated for that. If you go on my platform, there are a lot of things that you'll see about that were released before you guys got releases from the government. But so the thing is, I think that people have to ask themselves the very difficult question of, why do you pedestalize the people you pedestalize? Fauci didn't, and he is not the lead doctor. That's an epidemiologist. So I'm going to make that clear.
We didn't have a choice.
But that doesn't mean you have to believe everything.
Right.
Go ahead.
He's just a face chosen to be out there and convey a particular message, and that particular message was obviously received as they intended.
Not saying that I believed him, because I didn't believe him at all. I was one of the people who went totally against everything he's saying, because I had other doctor sources that were saying totally something different from the jump. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, if he lied and used all this stuff for emergency, this and that, you know what I'm saying, against us, I think some of these doctors just need to start going against some of these rules for this situation here. It started, you know what I'm saying, telling us the deal.
Sir,
There's a lot of people put their life in jeopardy, you know what I'm
are you
saying, for
gonna
emergency testing vaccine that
Right.
the virus that the doctor was talking about knew about this thing the whole time, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so here's what I'll say to that. Okay. Um, Harvard School of Law and School of Medicine and School of Sciences offered free education during coronavirus pandemic at the very onset, all the way up to maybe like, excuse me, I think like the 8
COVID cough?
marker allergies. So people had the option to take these classes on virology, to learn about virology. Okay, so way before the vaccination ever was even talked about. I gotta say, I know a lot of people don't have access to a computer per se, but everybody has a cell phone nowadays, or access to one. Okay, so if people did not take those classes and don't understand what viruses are, or they don't understand that viruses cannot be cured at all, because they cannot ever, because that's what's the difference between a viral infection and a bacterial infection. If people don't understand those components and they're taking a vaccination
Experimental.
that does not include the viral component and an antiviral component in it, then those people have to be held accountable for what they do for self. So if people are not asking the question, what exactly is this inoculation going to do for me if it doesn't indeed contain the active virus, the live virus, right? You got to ask the right questions.
I mean,
Katie talk, nope. Hold on, man. Katie talk, no, I don't think they should get out now, because at the time what they did was illegal. So they broke a law.
Stop it.
She asked the question. Now, that's my answer. I don't think they should retroactively go back and say, well, because it's legal now and you got caught with it when it was illegal, we're going to let you out. No, it doesn't work like
you said
that.
I want to have a conversation with my healthcare provider and see if I'm at risk, or what questions should I ask my healthcare provider?
None of it making sense, Dallas. I mean, Dennis, none of it is making sense, because if you don't have this thing and you don't even know you had it and it don't pass through you, they still telling you to go get this vaccine. If you ain't had it, you know what I'm saying, should you take the vaccine? All these other people already took the vaccine, but the thing is, they looking for herd immunity when we don't even know if most of us don't have it and it don't pass through us already. It just didn't affect us. You know what I'm saying? What is asymptomatic? What kind of crap is that? You know what I'm saying? That you can walk around with no symptoms and still affect everybody else. It sounds like tuberculosis. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of stuff that just don't sound right from the get-go, and they messing. It sounds like they messing with our heads.
It's made in the lab, bro. Wuhan, China laboratory.
Man, we knew that a year and a half ago. Nobody wanted to listen because they wanted to get Trump out of office.
But they're not messing with my head though, other than they forced us to wear the damn mask when they didn't want to, but they didn't force with my head.
What you call it? They are messing with. They ain't messing with your head, but they mess with other people's heads. If you know what I'm saying, if this thing don't been around months before we known about it, you know what I'm saying, it probably don't pass through our system already. They locked you down anyway. You know what I'm saying? They telling you everybody got it. You know what I'm saying?
You got 3 checks out of it.
I didn't get no checks out of it. I don't want no money from them. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I already know what that leads to.
I have been putting in the system since I was 14. I want anything they're gonna give me.
Oh no, I don't even want the food.
I've already invested and paid for it. Anything they got for me for free, I want it.
It ain't never free, man. But
I know they already said we ain't gonna have Social Security, so give me while you giving everybody else our Social Security anyway.
I mean, we voted in the guy who's been trying to take it out for the last 30, 40 years.
That election was stolen, sir. It was stolen. Shout out to Tide Knot Customs for my
yes,
beautiful
we do know
shirt. Shout out Tide Knot Customs. I'm just a nigga on YouTube. TIEDKNOTS on Instagram. What are you saying there, sir?
I have a question. What do you feel about people who smoke cigarettes? You know, should they quit or should they just keep doing that?
Dennis, kiss my ass. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
You know, especially when they have young children, they have to be around.
I don't smoke cigarettes around my kids, sir, and I'm gonna die anyway. So, good luck with that answer.
I'm just asking a question.
I gave you my answer since you were talking about me. Kiss my ass. I'm a smoker.
Well, I already mentioned what smoking does to the brain. So
okay,
yeah, it's the same. It doesn't matter what you're smoking.
Okay, for sure.
But that goes for weed too, jackass.
But if you smoke weed and you lose a lot of brain, how come those people seem like they're more intelligent?
They're
because you're high.
They're less inhibited because they are high. So it's not necessarily they're
high right now.
They're the same magnitude of intelligence. They're just less inhibited. So you know, you guys, both of you, I think, had a conversation. You both talked about experiencing the same level of release, right? Of all of that emotionality and the hostility that built up tension associated with streaming live or being in a crowd and things like that, right? If you smoke first. So what happens is now that part of your brain, that part of your emotion center of your brain, your amygdala, is now going a little bit lower than regulated. The less it goes down on that gauge, unlike a gas tank, you're getting closer to empty, the less inhibited you are. You see what I'm saying? So that means you're able to free flow and operate in areas that you otherwise wouldn't able to be, you know, operational in, because you don't feel judged, watched, looked upon, observed. You see what I'm saying? So you can kind of let whatever those feelings are kind of flow freely, and you're not there for the processes of what happens in the aftermath. But when you do wake up from the experience, you're like, man, who doing that?
Well, what advice would you, if I was trying to stop smoking cigarettes since Dennis took me down this rabbit hole, what advice would you give me other than the scary stuff that you just said?
If you're trying to stop, so cigarettes is a very complicated thing because we're talking about nicotine, and nicotine and the chemical in and of itself has an extremely addictive quality.
I know it.
And we've known that for like years. And it's really, really dangerous to your entire blood system. So, which is why the holes and stuff on your pulmonary organ. But so I would say try and reduce it to about, if I'm going to give an example, you know, because everybody smokes a different amount of cigarettes every day. So if you're a person that smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day, so for about a week, reduce that to about a pack and a half for a week. And then after that week has subsided, what you'll notice is that your craving for the same amount is all of a sudden coming to a place where it's in alignment. That second week, start taking like a supplement like ashwagandha or 5-HTP. These are natural supplements that come from the earth that will help you calibrate the chemical balance in your brain so that you can adjust to that shift. And so after that first week, now you're going to go down and you go down to 1 pack. Okay, that second week. At the end of that second week, continue to take the substance, either ashwagandha or 5-HTP. And if you're taking ashwagandha, make sure it's 1600 mcgs once a day. So once you move into that third week, you're actually going to taper down to a half a pack a day, just for that 1 week, to see how your body responds. Because for some people, it takes their brain less time to balance out or stabilize. And other people, it takes them more time to balance out or stabilize because they have severe trauma index inside of their brain. So if you find that you're nervous, you're jittery, heart palpitations, sweats, and things like that, you're going to take that up and step it up a notch to a pack, a full pack for another week. And then you'll be able to taper off to the half pack. And then you can kind of go to the single cigarettes and things like that. A lot of people move to like vaping and do the half vaping thing that last week in that month sequence.
Vaping isn't worse than this.
Yeah,
both.
Vaping can sometimes cause more harm than good because the reported nicotine content is always going to be inaccurate, because legally they can report no nicotine for up to 8%. Right.
And that's why I keep coming back to these, because vaping is not strong enough. It doesn't give me the nicotine that I'm looking for. I think a lot of the stuff that I get that says it's 8% is zero.
Well, no, it says if it's 8%, it's actually 16% in there, because up to 8% they can report it as zero nicotine, because it's like, okay, well, this is passive nicotine. Because when people think of vaping, they're like, okay, well, this is safer than cigarette. The smoking cessation is what causes the pockets of holes in your the undercarriage of your brain. So it's hard to explain without like a visual, right? Because normally I have like a visual spec scan to kind of show people what it looks like, and it's easier that way. But that's what causes the holes. Because think about it, when you breathe in,
you can screen share if you need to,
and you hold it. Let me see if I can find one on here.
And I'm gonna take this moment.
Have y'all missed at the end of 2019? We had a lot of vaping deaths just before this ninja showed up. That affected the same area.
Yeah, I heard about them saying like vape pens and stuff were blowing up, but I gotta shamelessly plug myself.
Well, my man MoneyBoy Trey in the building. He said, hit that like, or we gonna fight. Make sure you check him out on YouTube.
But yeah, that's what I was.
Subject. Can I ask another question?
Dennis, yes, you can ask all the questions that you want while she's here. She's a busy woman, though, sir.
I want to ask, since one of the leading cause of death in the Black community is prostate exam, and I'm approaching 40, so when should I start getting regular prostate exams? Or should I go the holistic route?
So, but your prostate still has to be looked at, so examined as far as functionality, right? And we still have to look for any cysts or masses or things like that. So you still want to get an exam if you're in an at-risk family. So if you have a history of this being something that caused the death of like your grandparent, grandfathers, uncles, and things like that in your family, then I say start around 35, because the male anatomy really doesn't stop its prominent growth and really start to become more toxic until they're 30.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because like for males, the emotional maturation and things like that maturation takes a longer period of time, because the body's curating and developing and maturing at a little bit of a slower rate or extended rate, right? So I say a 35 if you're at risk, and 40 if you're not at risk.
Okay.
And Dennis, before that, you need to find out what college your doctor got his medical degree from. That's really important.
That's the first question I asked. I don't want nobody coming from Mexico treat me.
Why not? That sounds racist, sir. You live in California. There ain't nothing but Mexicans around you.
It is what it is, brother.
USA.
Put America first.
Well, I don't I don't agree that people that study in Mexico are
I'm just using
any
that as an
less
example.
qualified. Um,
Why are they running from it then?
because Mexico is unlike America, they don't have the resources to depend heavily on the pharmaceutical agency, but they also don't have the soil to grow the type of herbal remedies that would, alleviate the symptoms that most people present with. So
All
it,
those rainforests. Was
I
it
didn't.
South America? I said all them rainforests down there.
You know, rainforest in Mexico.
So
Sir,
That's
yes,
South
it
America.
is.
Oh, it is.
Where?
well,
Yes.
they have small pockets of vegetation, that are really prevalent, but they don't have anything that will allow the widespread distribution of herbs or
They
herbaceuticals,
grow cocoa leaves. That's what they grow
especially
down there.
because I
They
was just
worry
about
about
to
no
say,
herbs.
especially because of the drug
They
industry.
growing cocaine.
Okay, so I found one, so I can show. I'm trying to show the
Don't be
under.
ashamed of me, Mark. We family.
How do you say your last name, sir?
Make
Abington.
it big.
I don't know. There you go. My man. I'm gonna get you right eventually.
So
Yeah, it should be like just automatically ready to screen share. I should get like a notification once you have it ready. But man, what were you saying there, man? Yeah, so but Chris,
Mm,
thank you. I was about to say I know Montezuma and them was down in Mexico in the damn jungle. Yes.
okay.
you just got to look at the situation that they're in. You understand what I'm saying? You got to look at you got to understand the drug industry down there. It's a lot more difficult than one would think.
It ain't down there no more. It's in our
It's some
backyard.
it's some beautiful bustling parts of Mexico though that aren't ravaged like what we typically hear and see.
I mean,
It's like all of the US ain't New York, Chicago, and LA and Memphis.
I mean, my kids are half Belizean. You know what I'm saying? I see some wonderful areas down there. That's below Mexico, but still, it is
That's
some
the
beautiful
island.
lands. And yeah, island I ain't trying to go to. Too many snakes.
Yes, I mentioned Belize in the intro song, sir.
Or
Why won't it let me share out of here?
Um, yeah, because it's not. I guess you're supposed to just because I have it automatically enabled, so you should just be able to hit screen share on the StreamYard and it'll bleep. There
Mm,
it is. That's either Dennis or that's the screen share. No, that's Dennis ugly ass. But yeah, just like Dennis did, it'll screen share. It'll pop up in the back for me to let it in.
hold on, I might be able to find one on that. I'm trying to share out of my
Hey, Mark, where your fucking slash business partner at?
I don't know who Mark is, sir.
It said right there in your description underneath the damn
That
thing.
I don't know who that is though. That's who they can donate to. I don't know who that is for the purposes of this show.
Oh, okay, money bag, money bag.
It's not Moneybag either, sir. Say my name right. You got one job to say my damn name right.
see, this is the reason why I'm first out the limo, man. You want me to just say security?
And what was your question?
let me see.
Damn,
Where's your fucking
they
slash
just-
business partner at?
Why would you ask me that in the middle of a show, sir?
I'm curious.
But why would you? Niggas ain't shit.
I sure ain't.
This is
Okay, so let's do.
this is why I hate niggas. This guy right here eating a cheese sandwich, pimento loaf eating there, boy. Why is you bothering me?
Okay, and so can you guys see this? This
Can
is
you
the
focus,
easiest
Mark?
Um,
Can
I
you
can find
focus?
on the internet.
yes, I now see you. Add to stream. Voila.
I'm the
And
one
I
got it on
can
this
give
topic.
that the
I'm the one keeping this shit
sir,
entertaining.
sir, hush.
Okay, is it big enough? Can you see it big or no?
Yes.
Okay, so a normal, healthy, functioning brain looks like this at the top and the bottom. Okay, this is the bottom, looking at the bottom part. on a spec. This is a fMRI scan. We call it SPECT imaging, but it's basically you go get a CT done, and it's called an fMRI. It kind of highlights where the hole or pockets are in the brain. After a brain has been exposed to different types of substances, it reacts in different ways. So people sometimes think that alcohol is less dangerous than smoking, right? Marijuana or whatever. That's why a lot of people cover the alcohol damages. Over here, you can see all of their holes, but here, when you look at bigger, larger holes, right? This is typically from a lack of oxygenation flowing freely through the brain. So your oxygen flows through your brain via blood vessels and blood flow. And so when it doesn't get enough oxygenation because of the smoking cessation, those pockets open up more and more and more. And so what happens is where those pockets are, there is no flexibility or new material being created. We call that neuroplasticity. So whereas this brain is continuously over the course of a lifespan creating more brain matter or material, this one is getting more holes because of whichever substance it is that they're using. A lot of time, depression can also mimic smoking and other substances because most people, kind of manage their symptoms of mental illness or depression by using depressants. So they may smoke, they may use pills, they may, you know, what is
Has
it?
this turned into an intervention for me? I wasn't expecting all of this.
No, I'm just saying,
I'm just joking.
you have to know what you're doing to your brain in order to know what you could be doing instead. You
I'm
understand
just
what I'm
trying to get you off them cigarettes, bro.
saying? So it is what it is. You have to make a choice. Over a lifespan, you have a lot of time, especially when you're young, you're in your 30s and your 40s. You have a lot of time to change those patterns of behaviors and then adapt more stable brain matter, right? So the production of neuroplasticity, increase that neuroplasticity by way of doing more healthy things. So like exercise, proper diet, making sure that you're taking the right types of vitamins and nutrients and things like that, supplemental nutrition. So as long as you're doing those things right, you don't have to worry about having Alzheimer's later on in life or other neurodegenerative diseases.
Well, they about to have a cure for Alzheimer's, though.
Yeah,
I
I
seen
see
that.
they came out with the experiment, a drug for that the other day. I saw.
Yeah, I saw that on CBS.
I don't think so. I think the jab is going to create autism just by what Biden said, that within 10 to 15 years everybody's going to have autism. So if you're trying to stick everybody with the jab right now, that means you must know that side effect must be autism later on. Just from what I'm seeing,
They need to get Biden that goddamn shot first with his old ass.
You
kick his ass
voted
in the
for
grave.
him.
Yeah, you did.
How
I
you gonna
voted for.
complain about the guy that you voted for?
First of all, I voted for Kamala Harris. I wrote in other, brother. I put
Nigga, she
other.
didn't run for president. You
I put
voted
in
for.
other.
Hey man, this is again. This is why I don't like niggas.
What?
Look at
I
Carl.
voted for Kamala
Look,
Harris. What are you talking about?
you know what? I told this is the cooning with Dennis and Trey segment. Look at Carl Winslow. Just look at him.
He got kicked out of Soto Nation, didn't he?
This nigga,
Please.
how you gonna say you didn't vote for Biden? You voted for Kamala Harris. Who's the president, sir?
Can you
With
listen?
that,
Can you listen to me? It's a line that says other. I wrote in Kamala Harris.
A lot of
and who won
The fuck?
president? And who won president?
Joe Biden.
So you voted for Biden, sir. They were on the same ticket.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
But you
other.
knew it's not Kamala, it's Kamala. First of all, I don't know where you getting this R from.
She's from Oakland.
There's no R in there. And secondly, they on the same ticket, bro. Are you really gonna do this? The black community is watching you right now.
Let me
What
ask
you gonna
you a
do?
question. Did you even vote? Did you vote?
Mr. Potato Head, that is none of your
Did you
business.
vote? See, that's
That
what
is
niggas
none
do.
of
They
your
resort to
business.
name calling instead of answering the question.
Yes, because this is
Did
the
you vote?
Cooning with Dennis and Trey segment.
I haven't called you out your name one time. I
You
haven't
don't
disturbed
have
you or
you
said
don't you
anything.
came up here for chaos, so I'm giving you what you want,
How
man.
I came up, I asked legitimate questions. You haven't even
Earthworm
asked
Jim
an
looking
intelligent
there,
question
boy.
yet. This is your panel.
Okay, sir. What okay. Yes, I voted. I voted.
Okay.
The person I voted for lost. I voted for myself.
Okay. That's what's up.
So why'd you ask me that? What does
So
it have to do with anything?
do you guys feel like Joe Biden was a bad decision?
Hell yeah, he was a bad decision. What you mean?
Okay, so tell me why.
Yep.
He's done the worst thing to the black community in the history of America, damn near since slavery.
But you voted for him.
I did not vote for him.
You
How many
were
times I gotta
sucking
tell you
his
that?
dick from the back, sir, during the campaign. You were bashing me for being a Trump supporter.
Absolutely, I was. You can't vote for no racist.
Don't
But you
worry about it,
just
money boy. We about to get
but
some get back here in a couple of months.
but nigga, you just literally said he did some of the worst shit ever to the black community. Not Trump. Trump and all his racist rhetoric that you claim he got has not hurt one black person.
I did not vote for Joe Biden. How many times I gotta tell you that? Nigga,
You
listen.
promoted the ticket, so you might as well should have. As Kwame Brown say, nigga, you was with the go along to get along game.
I don't want to hear nothing that ignorant ass nigga got to say.
Oh,
Don't bring up no
now
Kwame
he's
Brown on this
he's
topic.
ignorant.
So I have a question. Why is it that what about Trump makes you feel like he's racist?
He's an ignorant black person. That's what. But go ahead, answer it, Dennis.
Can I answer the question with all the name calling? Come on now, money boy. You
Yes,
call me a name
calling
like
him
4
names.
times. First thing you did. In the 1970s, this company got sued in 1970 for not renting apartments to black and Latino people. It's on record. He got sued for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's racist, right? When you don't rent to minorities, that's a racist act.
They bring down property value. Go ahead.
Sir, if I own property, I wouldn't want to rent. I don't want people.
Now y'all kidding want to
No. I would like to know. It's a serious question because oftentimes
get along game.
Oftentimes, you know, people confuse racism with personal preference. And I want to know what you feel like Donald Trump has done that is specifically racist.
I just told you. I gave you one.
But before you go, Dr. Jefferson, I just want to point out, niggas never have an answer when you ask them this.
I did have an answer.
She just pointed out who he wanted to rent to was personal preference, not racist. So what do you have that's racist?
Is racist. What do you mean personal preference ain't racist? Because if I prefer one race over another, that's a definition of racism. What are you talking about?
Aren't you pro-black?
But it isn't.
Aren't you pro-black, Dennis?
No.
You're a lying motherfucker.
So I'm not saying so I've never taken away from people the right for them to have a preference, right? And I feel like everybody is due their own preferences. It's some people who are very white and some people that are very black, and both of those people prefer to date Bolivians.
So is everybody from this panel from the South? If you don't mind me asking this.
I'm Finnish American.
So were you raised in the South?
I was raised in Finland.
Oh, okay,
so,
okay.
Yeah, but people can have their personal preferences and still not be racist. Does that mean that they're discriminating in their personal preference? Of course. But racism and discrimination are not one and the same.
So if I say I prefer you not to drink out my water fountain, that's not inherently racist?
You said you prefer what?
I prefer my kid not to go to school with black people. That's not a racist?
No, that's a preference.
No, that's
personal preference.
It isn't. It isn't.
Racism has to do with you being oppressed for your color. That's not somebody saying I would prefer my kids to not be around black people ain't oppressing you.
Right.
It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't
Okay, so if
advance
I'm
them.
pressing you, right, and I redlined your area, your school district, right, and your schools don't get the same
No,
funding
we
as these white schools get, that's not oppressing me? Then tell you, your kid can't come to my school, right? That's
See,
not
Doctor,
oppressing
this
him?
is. Hey, how you doing there, Savage Red? Do you have any questions for the good doctor? We're gonna ignore Dennis.
Why
But
you
no,
ignoring me?
I think it's a good question. I think that he is definitely traveling down a very something that Black people in general they hold in their hearts because they've been conditioned to hold in their hearts as a truth, but it may not be necessarily all, or what I say, all be a truth or a universal truth. It's a perceptual truth. For a lot of people in their experiences, they don't like to be excluded, right? They only want to be included, and they only want to be included in the context in which it fits their narrative. So, what I try to do is help people understand that if you have a preference for a particular thing, you don't want other people to be disrespectful towards you or disregard you because you have a particular personal preference and call you sexist, racist, whatever in your preferences, right? Then you shouldn't do the same thing to other people. Racism is a thing that has only to do really with America, and it's kind of moved all the way out into every other country and every other culture. And it's like a friggin' disease. It really is. Because Americans have come up with this mindset that in order for them to find common ground, they have to draw a line of delineation based off of the way that a person looks. Black people who are descendants of Africans or combinations of African and indigenous people, right, who are already here, they are same shade as some of the Black people that came here and founded this country. There were colonists that were brown people that founded this country. But the idea that the word Black has to be something, white has to be something to separate and help us classify ourselves, it's ludicrous. If you're from the same country, you're from the same country, so you're Americans. In Finland, we're all Finnish. In Spain, they're all Spanish. They're referred to as Spaniards. In France, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going? Only in America is this place where you think that it's a smart thing to divide yourselves by race. And then because you do that, you're conditioning your other kids, grandkids, neighbors' kids to think and move in the same way. So what happens is the idea or the understanding of racism and even slavery sometimes gets misconstrued by those kids coming up because now it's a perceptual down the line confusion. So if a person is racist, typically those people are going to be feeling like they are more superior than whatever race it is they're considered to be discriminating against, right? Or attempting to oppress. Racist things look like you saying you have a school that offers said education. Said education is considered to be top of the line, best practices, new interventions, new strategies, new insights that these old systems of education don't have access to. They do not have. And they also equally value the education system that you have at your school as the greater level of education, a higher level of education, right? And as a result, you're saying, I'm not going to have your kids come over here and attend this school because your kids look this way and they are of this race. Okay. Now, in that particular situation, the discriminatory practices are racist simply because you're trying to oppress or reduce the capacity of the access to this thing from those people only because of their race. But if you prefer to have Black kids go to this school and you're Black, it's okay. If you prefer to not have white kids come to this school because it's your Black school, it's okay. So the double standard to me is what I have a problem with. So Black
Yeah,
people want exclusive spaces, but they
yep.
want to be they want to be included as a whole in other situations. So you have to figure out what is it or isn't going to be racism. You can't decide that you want to be inclusive whenever it benefits you and your narrative. You can't decide that. It's just like people with these Black Lives Matters posters. You can't decide that Black Lives Matter when the police kill you, but it's okay when Ray Ray next door kills and shot Tommy next door.
No, it's not okay. Ray next door immediately goes to jail. He don't
But
even
he
pay an
don't. No, he
administrative fee.
doesn't.
Come
No,
on
he
now,
doesn't.
y'all use that
Ray
narrative.
Ray gets away too, sir. Sometimes he
Ray
get
go to
away,
prison for
sometimes he
life.
get caught.
Sometimes
Ray
he
Ray
gets
goes to
away.
jail for life.
How many unsolved murders are in your city, sir?
There
Because
you go.
you're full of shit right now. How many unsolved murders are in your city that were committed by Ray Ray?
And why are they unsolved? When his mom recognized his picture on the news, but she didn't say anything. His cousin recognized his picture on the news and didn't say anything. And if said anything, she went to him and said, hey, this is how you can get away. This is where you can hide out. There are certain practices within the Black community that are contraindicative of them saying that Black lives do matter. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
Right?
Dennis, you support.
on this
hold up,
country
Dennis.
in the United States were slave catchers, right? The first police in this country were called slave catchers, right?
I don't know about that.
No.
Google it, my brother. You got your phone in your right hand.
But Dennis, I just want to point out, you support Umar Johnson's all-black school. You don't consider that racist. You support Umar in his mission to have an all-black school.
When have I said that?
On a couple shows back when we were showing the shockumentary, because I had to ask you if you would send your kid there, and you paused. But you were all for his.
I told you no.
But you, it said you had to pause, but you still were all for him building an all-black school for boys. He said white people aren't allowed. That's okay with you. That's not racist, though.
So you comparing Dr. Umar Johnson open up a black school, right?
Yes.
So the equivalent of this country been founded on racist practices?
I'm comparing it to what you
wasn't founded. It wasn't founded on racist practices.
So the country was actually founded on freedom of people. The thing is, some of the people that were bought here, right, were not free when they were bought here. They were bought here as servitude consumers, or people that were supposed to provide a particular service for the people that founded this country that were already citizens of the country. Now, that's not to say that now in hindsight, right, later on, as we've evolved as a culture, as people, right, that people don't have the right to be equal, right? It's to understand that that process looked a little bit different than what it is now for a reason, because when you're transitioning or you evolving out of a certain stage, there are going to be some growing pains, right? So when people evolved out of slavery in the 1900s, early 1900s, when these people who used to be slaves and now they were released as a result of the abolishing of slavery in 1865 or whatever, their family now got their land, right? And I know that you guys are just now really finding out some very important truths about Black community and where and how Black Wall Street was founded and things like that, but just wait for it. Once that was a component, the Black Caucus, those are the people who decided they wanted to be separate. Trauma will have an effect on you in such a way that you will want to separate yourself from the people that you feel and you've experienced have oppressed you and have oppressed people that look like you. So initially, Black people were looking to be separate and grow separately because they saw separatism as security and safety. And to every single extent.
And what they do to Tulsa? What did they do to Tulsa? What happened in Tulsa?
Let me get to it. Let me get to it.
When you're finished, Dr. Savage, you can go ahead and say something because you ain't said nothing yet.
So I'm going to get to that. My grandfather was a part of what happened in Tulsa. So I know a lot about it before you guys ever start to take notice. So this is something that I've been advocating for over a decade. But the realities are this: when they moved into that space and they started to build their separate land, their separate communities, their separate financial wealth for Black people, the idea was not for them to remain separate. It was meant for them to build their platform so they could come together and have something of viability to offer. And there were a lot of things. And as you see the Tulsa massacre kind of really unveil, and you see what the truths are behind what happened that day, and how what the sheriff's role was, and how things really unfolded. When you see what that really looks like, I want to see where you sit then, because the reality is these people that were Confederate soldiers that fought their way out of slavery because that was their intent. When they saw what happened to them, when they saw what was happening to a young brother, and they tried to intervene, and things went down that day because of hot heads. But either way, it spiraled out of control. They decided, they made a conscientious decision to leave. They made a conscientious decision to leave. It wasn't that they could not rebuild. It was that they saw other opportunities.
Now, you gonna burn, I'm gonna rebuild, you gonna burn my shit down again?
So it's not, it's first of all, there were a lot of people killed during that week.
On both sides.
Exactly. So they didn't, it wasn't the fact that they had a threat to them rebuilding and thinking that there was a threat to their stability, because for all of those years before then, they didn't have a threat to their stability. They didn't. They were fine, and they were very well respected. So this event is what created the hotheads, and that's what led to all of this. So it wasn't an intentional massacre. Nobody came there with that energy as far as law enforcement that day. The rioters, however, came with that energy, because they thought that there is a person inside of this jail that this sheriff is protecting, and that person is a black person, and that person did something to this white woman who had never, not a single time, said this man did anything to her. Every statement that they collected from her, she said that there was nothing she wanted to say. And that silence was enough for them to take it and think that she had been silenced by that black person, and that person oppressed her voice and had raped her. That's what it was really about. So if you really know your history, and if you find the truth in this unveiling, when they start to actually release the stories that they covered up, the news clippings they covered up, those types of things, then you might understand a little bit more about Black culture and what it really meant to be a Black person then, and what's so different right now. So a lot of people want to be separate right now, Black people, because they see a threat in white people that no longer exists. That's the reality. Your perception is the threat.
Let's let the only white guy on the panel say something.
You really said white people don't pose a threat to us anymore.
The threat is
white people don't pose a threat to me.
Me either. So it's your perception. I didn't get where I am because I was afraid that a white man was going to hold me down.
I was just in Milwaukee. I wasn't afraid of white people. I was just in Minneapolis. I wasn't scared of white people. I was in Atlanta. I wasn't scared of white people. I was in Vegas.
I'm gonna let you
Nigga, I just named like 5 different spots I was in where I was not scared of white people, and I'm from Memphis. I walk around Memphis every day, not scared of white people. Go ahead, Savage.
Well, a couple things. So the country wasn't actually founded on racism. Slavery was going on during the colonies to begin with. When the founding
the Indians, that wasn't
stop
oppression?
Stop. Don't cut me off. Don't cut me off, Dennis.
You massacred the Indians. You gonna tell me that
I don't
built
listen.
on racism?
Listen. Stop.
That wasn't racism either.
Okay.
It was a business decision, Dennis. Get it in your head.
We do it every day.
When it came down to the founding fathers, when they came up with the Constitution, they actually had it illegal for slavery, but there were southern states that would not sign it and ratify it, and they decided to give in on that thing because they thought it would be good to go to the king as a united front. And they made sure that at the beginning of the Constitution, we the people, they set the groundwork so that eventually they could be freed. So they
right? The people that wrote the Constitution owned slaves, right?
Correct. They did. Some of them did.
You're right. Go
forward. Wait a minute. Before you go, Savage, wait a minute. I got perfect for him, Savage. I got him.
Like, I hear feelings. So what? So what?
Go ahead, Savage.
What you need to realize is that Indians owned slaves, blacks owned slaves, only about 3 to 5% of the population owned slaves in the United States. So it wasn't the vast majority of Americans that owned slaves. Most of the slaves that were on plantations worked next to white poor people on the plantation. Like this idea that has been taught about slavery, that everything came from slavery and everyone owns, like it's not true. When the Irish came here, the Irish were actually indentured servants / slaves that got treated worse than black slaves because black slaves are worth more money. There's laws that were put in place to where they weren't allowed to take a Irish slave and mate them with black slaves and then have mixed children and sell those children at a higher price because they were technically black. So if you're going to have a person that you own for the entire span of their life, or you have someone that you're only going to own for 7 to 10 years, who are you going to give the worst jobs to? Who are you going to treat worse?
Hey, Mark, I'm out of here, bro. I'm not going to listen to no white man try to.
Well, sir, that is your person. That is your.
Well, actually mixed.
Peace out, sir.
But the reality is this: I think that if more people came to the table and had these conversations and dispel some of the untruths, because the reality is this: even though it's not that we're saying that slavery didn't exist or didn't have its purpose, and nobody is even going to the founding of slavery, that the type of slavery that was introduced by transatlantic slave trade to the United States, okay, to people here, or who introduced it to Africans. Like, so at the end of the day, this is the thing. Just because slavery existed, just because people had slaves, just because you come from a people that were oppressed in whatever way, right? It doesn't mean that you are that slave. It doesn't mean that your opportunities are limited in this day and age because they were slaves. Today is a different day. The life that we have is not the life that they led. And trust me, it is not. Like, it just isn't.
He knows this.
Unless you have sat down and had a conversation with your slave ancestors, which I have, you don't know what their experience is. And each of their experiences were different. Completely different. So at the end of the day, I hate it when I hear people say, well, I'm going to need my 40 acres and a mule that my family is entitled to. That entitlement mindset of Black American people, to me, is what keeps them from moving into a place where they can actually thrive in society. The reality is today and yesterday are two different times. The vicarious trauma that you've experienced as a result of whoever parented you and the way that they parented you, whatever school gave you the education you got your schooling from, or whatever it is, right? Those things are obsolete when it comes to the level of success that you decide to embark upon in today's society. Whatever opportunities you decide to take are yours for the taking. Align yourself with society's expectation of a person that needs to fit in that role. And stop having all these excuses. I hear all these millennials and stuff like that out there talking about, oh, well, these old people that are over 50 can't tell me nothing because I'm going to live free and I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do it when I want. Do what you want. Say what you want. But don't expect the same opportunities that are presented to a person that looks the part, that's showing up and doing the work. So you have to be a person that has some level of pride in self and see resiliency in self if you want to be successful in life. You can't expect some white man, orange man, purple man to give you what it is that everybody else has worked for.
And Dennis, you take pride in saying that you make 6 figures. How is that possible if the white man is keeping you down? You would think they wouldn't want to give a Black person such as yourself a petition to make that type of money. Because they're against you, remember that. Why would they want to have you making that type of money? And you're in a small percentage of Black men that make that type of money.
According to Kevin Samuels, especially.
Yeah, he listened to him too.
Well, can I speak? What? I just listened to Dr. Johnson ramble for like 2-3 minutes.
Nigga, you got a history lesson from everybody up here.
Okay, but I'm figuring out the sister on the
Are we simps now, bro?
No. I want to speak directly to her. I don't want to speak to no
Speak
white
directly.
man telling me no Irish man was a slave next to my people. Like, are you
They
Okay.
were,
freaking?
Well, I got a
but they
question for
were
the
though.
Irish man. I got a question for an Irish man here.
No,
Hey,
no, no.
Savage, what's going on, man?
Wait, let him speak directly to me because he doesn't want to speak to the white man that he's labeled as a white man and doesn't see that as racist, though this man doesn't
You're
identify.
asking for it.
Hold up.
That's what I'm saying.
You're
So
asking for it, dude.
I ain't trying to do this.
it's these direct ideas that are just delusional in black people that really get me, and it grinds my
How is it
gears to the
delusional?
fact. Go ahead.
Racism is right in your face every day, and you telling me
Of course it is. Of course it is. Racism is in my face every day, and it is now. You decided to call this man a white man. Did you ask
That's
him?
what he is.
Did
He's
you
a white
ask
man.
him
I didn't
how
say-
he identified?
No, I didn't ask him how he identified. What do you want me to call him?
Did you ask him? Did you ask him what his parents are? If his parents are white, black, mixture thereof?
But if I say he's a colonizer, is that gonna be even more offensive?
Maybe, maybe not. But the reality is, he said clearly he's not white. But for you, you see a white person because that's your perception of him. Your perception of him don't drive what he actually is. That's the same as you being a person out here working hard, doing what you have to do, and then a white person coming up to
But
you.
it's not twice as hard for me
You being
to
offended.
see where I'm going than it is for a white man that's 38 years old who's had years and years and years of generational wealth passed down to him.
Maybe every white person hasn't had years and years of generational wealth handed down to them.
Let me ask you this question. So when my dad worked hard and bought him a house in Oakland, right? Then
Right.
they came and redlined his house, telling him he can't get no loan, he can't get no money out of his property because they redlined it, right? That was 1983. Right? I was alive then, right?
Mhm.
So they told me my dad's house wasn't worth nothing, right? So when my dad went to sell his home, he didn't get half of what it was worth. So that affects me now because I could have inherited some money. You know what I mean? So this stuff is going on for generations and
You could
generations.
have had some money. Why? What is it that
They
you
wouldn't.
know?
You know what they did? They drew a map, right? And they wrote a red. I knew you grew up in Finland, so you probably ain't educated what redlining is. But they drew a big red line around the inner black communities, right? And said we can't get
a whole community, though. We talking about, you just said a house, one house, and that's it.
That's
so
a whole community.
The value of a community can be definitely degraded by whatever standards it is that that particular bank wants to place on the people that they lend.
No, you cannot get no FDA loans on your property. What do you mean? Let me tell you another example in this community. They also redlined our community, right? They redlined our community, right? So we can't get loans. Then they flooded our community with crack cocaine, right? This was
wait a minute. You keep saying they flooded. They did this. They did that.
Who was finding cocaine from Colombia in here?
Plenty of people.
Who run this country?
Who are the they?
Who run this country?
People run the country. People who are citizens
of this country.
That's not true.
Really?
Nobody can get in the White House unless you vote them in, or you decide to vote them in by not voting at all. That's the reality.
I never smoked crack, MoneyBoy.
So what I'm saying is, just because you have, let me say this so I can make sure that this is very clear. Just because you have access to a thing does not mean that you will partake in that thing. So I've had access to drugs my entire life. I know other doctors who do illicit substances. I've never done any drug at all in my life. Just don't do it. Why?
Let me ask you this question.
Why?
You're a doctor, right? And you agree with me that it's an opioid crisis in this country, right?
The opiate crisis is everywhere.
Right? And what is they saying about opiate crisis? They need rehab and not jail. Right?
I was part of the opioid crisis, and I wasn't committing no crimes, and I didn't need any rehab. I just was pointing out I'm part of it. I was part of the opioid epidemic.
I'm a recovering heroin addict. You're making a bad comparison.
But what I'm saying is you won't let me finish my thoughts, so you don't know what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
I know what you're. Go ahead.
Right, they saying opioid crisis in America is out of control, right? They need rehab instead of jail. Right? But in no, what was it? 27 years ago, when our president right now got on the U.S. Congress on floor of the Congress, right, and said, "I don't care what happened to these animals; they need to be locked away in cages."
The guy you voted for, by the way.
I never
yes,
voted for him. I never voted for him.
Kamala locked those animals up when he passed the bill.
I got this, Doc.
Let him finish. Though I want him to finish this wonderful thing about 27 years ago in the comparison to today. Go ahead.
You were probably in Finland when they enacted the.
I was here.
Right?
I was here. I retired from the United States Army after 23 years of service as a medical doctor. Then I went over to psychodynamics, so became a psychotherapist. But go ahead. I was here. So
and I applaud you for that.
Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is this country is inherently racist because when the black community had a crack problem, a crack epidemic, they put us in prison. They made mandatory prison sentences. It was called 5, 10, 20.
I got this.
Now that these white Americans are suffering from an opioid crisis, they need to go to the hospital.
So the opioid crisis is only white people?
Okay, so I'll help you with this. So two things. Any person that's been
15% of this population in this country, so we can't have.
No.
Yeah, y'all can hear me.
Documented 15%.
Yeah, we can hear you. Pardon.
All right, cool. What's going on?
We're only 15%.
No. Documented.
Prison population.
No, documented.
Ask that question.
It's okay.
Okay. So a couple things here. So any person that's been in the streets knows that bodies are what brings attention by the police. Yep. During the crack epidemic was one of the heights of gang banging. There was multiple gang violence in the streets. The Black Caucus wanted stricter crack laws because they wanted to save their community. So they went and they had the laws pushed to make the penalty worse for crack cocaine. The difference between 27 stop. But you voted for that guy. So when you take that and then you add 27 years of medical research, 27 years of medical research showed that drug addiction is more of a disease than just a choice. Then on top of it, the opiate epidemic happened because overprescriptions of opioids that were told by the pharmaceutical companies to doctors that they were not addictive were given to people. They realized that it was addictive, or they decided to make more money before they stopped giving the pills out, and people went to heroin, which was already on the street. So I don't know about you, but I've never seen a doctor prescribe crack cocaine to a person. So if you're going to make the comparison between the heroin epidemic and the crack epidemic between race, it is a false equivalent.
No, lock y'all ass up too. You want to be a dope fiend? Lock their ass up too. I don't need no treatment. I need you.
We get locked up. We get locked up.
Yeah, they do. They get locked up. They get.
You got mandatory sentences for opium right now. If you get caught with OxyContin right now, you got a mandatory.
Yes, you actually do, sir.
No.
Well,
no.
I've paid one of those charges off. I've had to pay almost $10,000 to be the charge for 10 pills. So yeah, you got to. Bro, I'm telling you what I paid off.
Out there.
I'm just saying. I've been out there.
The way the drug charges work now, if you get caught with any drugs for your first time offense, you get treatment, regardless if it's crack, heroin, cocaine, meth, pills. It doesn't matter. Your first time offense, if you're a non-offender, which means it doesn't say if you aren't black, you get this. Exactly. It says if you're a non-violent offender. And what you need to realize is even though you're going to say that the prison population, because it's mostly black, means it's racism, if you look at the FBI crime statistics, 51% of all violent crimes are committed by black people. So, again,
that's true.
Again,
fucking kidding me right now.
No,
why don't you go?
True.
Why don't you?
So
why don't you go to Chicago?
The problem is you feel like because you are black, you've been conditioned to believe that the system is set up to be against you. You're not looking at the thing that lands you in the system.
Dennis, the system is
right. So if I go before a judge for the same crime as a white man, right?
That's not true.
30% longer than they get that white man.
Dennis,
that's not true.
Dennis, if you got money you're treated just like that white man. I'm
There you
sorry
go.
to break it to you.
There
I'm
you go.
sorry to break
That's
it to you. Every time I
a pro-white man is treated the same way as a black man with money. So what is you saying?
That's not.
No, he's
Hold on.
not.
What
How
was
you
what
think
was the
they're
stat
in
on violent
jail?
crime again?
51%.
What was the stat on violent crime?
51, and I think it's actually like 54%. And we're only 12% of the population committing that type of crime.
But is that based on arrests? The statistics? It's based on arrests, right?
Correct.
Well, it's not based on arrests. It's about reported crime. So the FBI crime statistics are based on reported crime and not arrests, because a lot of community crimes that are committed inside of Black communities are not reported or go unreported.
But if it's reported crimes, how do they know who the suspects are?
When
Because
you
those are
report a
on-
crime, right? When you report a crime, right? Like for example, one of the shows that I'm about to do is this black lady and her sister that was assaulted in her home in Mobile, and the other lady died. But so when you report a crime, they ask you, did you see the person who did this to you?
But it's not factual when they say who it is. You only know based on arrests or based on convictions. So those are when it becomes factual, right? So
wait, let me finish. When you make a report, you give a particular purview of what you feel has been done against you. This particular lady in Mobile, what was that, 97 or something like that, 92 something. But she made a report. She said it was a black man wearing a light colored shirt. He had a blood stain on his shirt after he had stabbed her sister in the heart and came and stabbed her in the side, right? And stole a VCR. So it landed them in a crack house, shot house / crack house / everything was sold their house. And that's where they found the VCR. So the man that they arrested was a black man, because it was reported that it was a black man that committed the crime by a black woman, made the report, by the way. And the black man that they arrested and first they interrogated was the black man wearing the white shirt. This particular black man wearing the white shirt with the blood stains on it. However, his family had money, was affluent and known very well in the community. So then the fingers got it pointed towards a guy who was considered to be mentally retarded, who had a family, because he picked up the VCR and traded it for drugs in that same crack house. He found the VCR in the alley. That was his story. He stuck with it the entire time, right? He was convicted and found guilty and sentenced to die. Even though the witness that still was alive, not the woman that died, the witness that still was alive said it wasn't him. He was wearing a dark colored shirt that night. He was seen on camera picking up the VCR out of the alleyway, taking it to the crack house and getting it in. So the dude that got off with this murder and assault was the dude wearing a white shirt, blood-stained black man. What do you think was the thing that helped him get off? Do you think it was the fact that he was white because he was black? Or do you think it's the fact that his family had money?
No, but that's I guess that's a separate issue. I guess what I'm trying to confirm is whether or not the stats that the guy mentioned, Savage Red Recovery, whether or not those stats are based on arrests, convictions, or reported crime. That's what I want to confirm.
Reported crime.
Inherently racist organization putting out
arrests.
Misinformation. That's a bold-faced lie. FBI was built on racism, so I don't trust what they got to say.
Okay, so
J. Edgar Hoover was a noted racist who tried to take down Martin Luther King.
No. But let him establish. Let him establish what he's talking about, though. Go ahead.
All right. So why don't you live in South Chicago?
So I'm born in Oakland.
Yeah, but do you want to go visit South Chicago? I hear it's nice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You gonna wear a bulletproof vest?
Why were you bringing that up? Because black people kill black people. Okay, white people kill white people. That's understandable.
If you look at FBI crime statistics when it comes to interracial crimes, one out of 10 is white to black. 9 out of 10 is black to white.
Let me ask you this question, Savage Red. Who you think taught us this savage behavior? Who do you think taught us this savage behavior?
Let me see. So there were drive-bys during slavery?
No, let me ask you a question. Who taught us them savage behavior?
There was gangs.
Who taught it to do?
Who taught us this savage behavior?
It's a natural behavior, bro.
Who wouldn't make gunpowder?
We're all
mass destruction?
Stop. Asians make gunpowder.
No, they making firecrackers out of gunpowder. Y'all make guns and
So you're saying is your claim that right now in 2021 that slave owners from the 1800s.
It's an evolution of the facts. It's evolution. This stuff you keep talking about, like this slavery and all this racism.
No, you're saying you're asking who taught it to you. So I'm curious as to where you're thinking it came from.
The savages who murdered and killed us for hundreds of years.
They never murdered and killed you with gang race wars.
Hold on, fall back for a second. Okay.
Race wars.
The stats are based on arrests. But arrests are based on wherever the police decide to focus on, right? We all know that there's crime in all different neighborhoods. But if the focus is on a particular area or particular neighborhood, there's going to be more results. There's going to be higher arrests. Do we agree with that?
So if you're going to say that there's crimes in every neighborhood.
But the question is, do you agree with that?
Do I agree?
Wherever the focus is, wherever the police presence, that's where there's going to be more arrests.
No, they're gonna put more police presence where there's crime.
Wait.
Sorry.
If there's crime there, the police presence will increase because the people who are part of your mayoral candidates, appointed or elected officials that are responsible for those particular zoning areas, they're going to ask for more police presence if there is an increased crime in that particular area because that's their job.
Okay, part of that is true, but there's also a part where you create criminals not based on the activities that one is doing, but based on putting them into the system.
Dr. Jefferson and everyone on the panel, can I just point out this gentleman right here is from Canada?
Oh,
they don't have
the
same struggles. They don't have the same struggles.
I mean,
but I will say this though. Right now, there's a gang war going on in Vancouver. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The people who are involved in that gang war, it's Asians, South Asians, whites, and Vietnamese. So Indians, Chinese, Vietnamese. It's not black. The point I'm making is that when you look at the drug trade and criminal activity, it's $1 billion business. Mm-hmm. People make a lot of money from it. But when you tend to look at the people who are being arrested for the crimes involving drugs, and we tend to look at where people are being put in jail, it's not the people who are benefiting from this $1 billion business. Right now, the reason why the police focus on the poor neighborhoods where there's more black people in there is because whenever you focus on people who don't have the resources, they end up taking plea deals instead of fighting these cases. They end up in positions where they don't have proper representation and they end up in jail and they become statistics. Whereas the people who have the money to fight, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. The people who have the resources, like O.J. Simpson and many other black people who have the resources.
Yes, I have the resources too because I go to trial in August.
You too. So whenever you have the resources to fight, you have a better chance of winning, unless you're guilty, of course, right? But you have a better chance to fight the system and gain your innocence or gain your freedom. Do we agree with that? The people who end up in jail, usually poor people, and they're in jail because they take pleas and they can't fight the system because they don't have the resources.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with it either.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, go ahead.
I think misinformed people end up in there because there was times when I didn't have the resources and I took a public defender, but I was smart enough to know what the hell was going on, and I wasn't going to cop no long ass plea deal to no crap that I didn't do.
Right.
At some point, you got to stick to your guns.
If you're truly innocent, this is what I say. If you're truly innocent, there is no reason for you to plead guilty, regardless of what you may think or perceive the system is going to do with you. There is no reason for you to plead guilty because in the judicial process, there is an appeal process. So even if you think that the judicial process is going to be unfair, like they were obviously unfair about the young guy that I mentioned a moment ago, they were clearly unfair, right? Guess what? The appeal process is there for that. That's what it's for, 100%. So a whole different audience out of a whole different, at a different level, and a different set of people, a different set of eyes, a fresh set of eyes that are not the same parties that are invested in this particular situation are now going to look at your situation and look at the evidence against you, and as to whether or not your representation was fair and impartial or not. You understand what I'm saying? So that's not a reason for you to be in a situation where you're going to plea out. It's just not. It's not. My son has been arrested, and he is considered to be a black boy in America. And guess what? He ain't take no plea deal, and I didn't have to spend a whole bunch of money because he didn't do it. So at the end of the day, if you're actually innocent, that is what the judicial process is for.
Are you
But
serious?
you do. Hold on, I just want to say, I agree with what you're saying. Usually, if you're innocent, you should fight it. However, we do know that a lot of times the plea deals are introduced in a certain way where people feel they don't have an option, right? So, for example, a lot of times they'll give a plea deal that doesn't involve going to jail, where you get time served.
I've turned down 6 of them. I've turned down 6 of them, and none of them involve jail time.
Your parents are doctors. You can take this plea deal. You can just take this money.
The point I'm making, whether you decide to take it or not, is based on a couple of things. Whether you're aware of the criminal system and whether you have the confidence to fight it. Right?
So
and that is based on
So it's a choice.
That's what I'm saying. Parents in Black America need to condition their kids as to the opposite of what they're currently conditioning.
Yes, I agree.
The judicial system is a process, and it's there for a reason. It's not there to beat you, because that's not true. At the end of the day, when you create false securities or false insecurities in people, it shapes the way they see the world around them. My son and I had no contact when he was
designed to beat the black man. Is that what you really just said?
It's not. It isn't. My son is an entire black grown-ass man. And when he went up against this drug charge, which is a felony conviction, it clearly wasn't him. Clearly.
You know why it wasn't him? You know why his mama wasn't him? Because his mama got that bag. That's
no,
why
it wasn't him because he was in a different state.
Well, explain me then, Dennis.
Because he was in a different state. So the point is,
your mama got that bag, bro. That
has nothing to do with it. So
explain me, Dennis.
You really think that?
Dennis, explain me, because again, I just told you I've turned down 6 plea deals, and by the time I go to trial, it will be 3 years since I was initially charged, because I'm not finna plead to no shit that I didn't do.
Exactly.
Even with the misdemeanors that they offered me.
Listen,
first thing they say that is historically racist, and then they said you get tried by a jury of your peers. How am I gonna have a jury full of my peers when we only 15% of this population? So when I look at that jury box, it's 8 or 9 white people judging me, right?
You know why? Because niggas don't want to go do jury.
Right? That means 8 or 9 people that's judging me are white.
Dennis, niggas don't go to jury duty. So you can say that. That's one reason it's more white people doing it. White people don't mind going to do their civic duty. What about you? How many times have you served on jury? How many times have you dodged the notice in the mail?
And to be honest with you, here's the other piece.
I said not guilty. Everybody guilty.
To a certain degree, I think that black people do have this inherent position that the system is set up to be against them. I do feel like in so many instances, a lot of black people that go against the justice system, they are beat out because of their own insecurities, and that judges the way that they proceed in their legal case. So here's the thing: it's still you. It's still you. It's still you.
You're the one got to serve that time if you take that plea.
Can I ask you?
You're the one that got to deal with what's
so
on
you telling me that your route to being a doctor is the same as a white woman that was in your same position as you?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
You didn't think the road for you were a little bit harder?
It wasn't.
So you telling me it was? Oh, my bad. You're Finland. You from Finland,
sir? How do you know I don't have a master's?
No, listen, Dennis.
How do you know I don't have a
understand.
master's degree, Dennis?
Dennis, are you 6'7"?
There are plenty of black doctors. And there's nothing harder about being a black doctor than it is being a white doctor. The only thing is difficult is exposure when it comes to people advocating for a particular race of doctors. And people don't do that except black people. We're the only ones that say we need spaces for just Black doctors. We need recognitions for just Black doctors, as if we're not human like everybody else. At the end of the day, a doctor is a doctor. A platform for doctors is a platform for doctors. Now, don't get me wrong, you have some doctors that are Black and also apothecary based. So those people have done studies abroad when it comes to epidemiological medicine and the treatment and pathology of medicine or whatever in disease. And those people's perceptions may be very different than other doctors. And I don't mean just white. I mean other doctors, right? That only want to practice traditional medicine and pharmaceuticals. So that is not because you are Black. That is because you are a doctor with that level of exposure.
Who the hell is
like fucking?
Who the hell is pouring?
It's pardon.
That's me.
But so I mean, it's all about perception. If you want, I know plenty of Black doctors, a lot of them, lot.
There's a Black doctor, but I'm saying in this country, right? When you got another race that's had a 200-300 year head start in a race we're all running, right? We're all running that. And they had a 200-300 year head start.
It wasn't a whole bunch of white doctors.
You telling me
Like,
what you're telling me?
I hear feelings. So what? So what?
We was caged, nigga.
The field is level. I don't understand how you saying that the field is level.
We was caged, nigga. We built the pyramids. How come? I don't care. We had a head start on them.
Mark, every time
I don't know who that is, sir.
Everybody interjects and interrupts me. I can't get my thought out because everybody got something to say.
Go ahead, bro.
You know what I'm saying is you expect us to run the same race that with a race that's had a 200-300 year head start on us, and you tell me that
they didn't have a 200 or 300 year head start.
They had free labor. What are you talking about? They had 200-300 years of free labor.
It wasn't from you.
Do you not understand fucking math?
It wasn't from you.
It wasn't you. They had a head start.
You keep trying to take credit for the time that the ancestors served, nigga. You don't get time served. All you get time served for since you've been here.
They still benefit from the slave.
They
ain't giving them money back they made. They don't give back the money they made from all that free labor.
What you don't realize,
give us no money for the pyramid.
They have generational wealth that they're passing.
They
down
don't.
Trace back to the history of slavery. What are you talking about?
They don't.
Can I say something? Can I say something? If I want to ask Dennis something, if you felt that all white people and all Black people started at the same level from today, so anyone in your age group, your contemporaries, if you felt that they all started at the same starting point as you, would you be more eager to compete with them based on your own merits?
I compete daily, every day. I compete. I don't compete.
So here's my question to you. Here's my question.
I jumped that goddamn hurdle. You know what I mean?
So here's my question. Here's my question to you.
I just jump over and keep going.
Okay, but here's my question. With what you're saying, if you were to teach that to a child, that there's a boogeyman, or if you teach them that things are unfair, if you teach them that you're unequal, what do you think the takeaway is going to be for that child? Do you want your child to be Do you want your child to be powerless?
You know what I teach them?
Well, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish the question. Let me finish the question. Do you want your child to feel powerless, or do you want your child to feel that they can actually achieve anything that they want to achieve?
They can achieve anything they want to achieve. But the difference is between my son being a 15-year-old Black boy and a white 15-year-old Black young man, is that when my son leave the house, I got to tell him how to interact with the police and make sure he makes it out alive. So that's what I got to tell him.
So do white people.
Yeah.
Because white people get killed more by the cops.
We get killed more.
Here's the reality.
People. What are you talking about? Y'all outnumbered like 10-1, 5-1.
That's a fallacy. Okay, that's a fallacy, because just because Black people don't fill out the census doesn't mean that doesn't mean that they actually are the minority.
So you really on that Trump shit talking about white people get killed by cops just as much as Black people?
They do
more.
People, behavior is what ends up ending your life. So your inherent ability to train a child to go into a world with respect for authority, that is what.
No, it's not respect for authority. It's a respect to get out of there with his life.
No,
that's respect for. That would still be respect for authority, sir.
No. That's the problem right there. So you just said that you're not training your child to have respect for authority.
No,
you're training them to get out there with their life.
How to make sure
my son's Black.
It's not about respect. So when the respect thing is when I tell you I have a legal open carry commit, and I tell you, you tell me to reach for my wallet, and I reach for my wallet, and you shoot me 18 times on camera.
Never happened to me. I've been carrying
Me
for 15 years.
I gotta tell my
15
son,
years, Dennis.
Well, I've been carrying for about 30, 35 years now.
Yeah,
but
but you guys do understand. You can only control your own ways, your own actions. You can't control someone else's. So even
that's the point.
hold on. But the point I make is that
What is
even
that? What are you
if you
showing
were
me?
to obey authority, even if you were to show kindness or put your best foot forward, these things can still happen to you, right? It's not something where you control what the cop is going to do. You can't.
Right. But see, so it's not about you controlling the other person. It's about you controlling your outcome. Your outcome is based on your interaction and your level of interaction. There is no police officer out here patrolling the streets and pulling over cars in an abundance that are targeting people and trying to kill them while
That's
they
not
are
my argument.
on a camera. A body
That's not my argument. But my argument is that the power is in the police officer's hands on who they arrest.
Dennis, why haven't you had your ass whooped by Oakland PD?
There you go.
So I don't put myself in a position.
Okay, so that's the answer. There you go. You're in control of what presence you draw.
Apparently, your black ass got respect for authority.
I'd avoid them at all costs.
That's the same.
So you've never been pulled over?
Yeah, several times.
So apparently you have respect for authority.
No, it's a difference. It's a difference when you get pulled over and the first question he asked me, am I on probation or parole?
They asked me the same
That's a legitimate question, though,
you
sir.
look like this racist skinhead. That's why he asked you that.
And you look like a savage black guy that may be going to rape a white lady.
Do you see this? Do you see this picture right here?
No,
it's a standard question. It's a standard question for a police officer.
No, oh my God, y'all.
Do you see this picture right here?
Y'all sound like some overseers right now. That's what y'all saying.
Yeah, we can see your son.
Beautiful family.
So you see my son? You see my son right there?
Yeah,
a mixed son.
What does he look like? Does he look white to you?
He looks like he's not yours.
He's mixed.
Because my son's mixed.
What
does that mean?
Because the fact of the matter is
that he does not go and train his son the same way.
No, but let him answer.
I'm going to train my son and my daughter the same way. Like, I have a criminal.
You set your son up for failure, then.
Let him answer.
Listen, I'm a criminal. I've started getting arrested at 16 years old. All right. I've had the police manufacture evidence on a case for me. I've had the cops do all sorts of fuck shit. But do you know why they were doing that? Because I was doing fuck shit. I was putting myself in a situation over and over again to where they wanted me locked up. Like, my son isn't going to act that way. Like, when you do dumb shit, like, how is it that King Von got away with all the drilling he was doing? Why in Chicago is 80% of the homicides not solved? Like, if it was,
and you said letting them get caught.
If Chicago, if they were so racist, why aren't they just locking people up for these 80% of murder cases that are going on in Chicago? Like, it's based on your actions and accountability. That's what it comes down to. You act crazy to a cop, they're going to act.
But you just said accountability. Accountability is something that the vast majority of the Black community is not responsible in their eyes for taking. They think that the only accountability that needs to be taken, the only responsibility that needs to be taken is on the part of the police officers that are policing and killing their Black young men. Only the people that are doing this thing that are not Black and it leads to the loss of life in the Black community need to take accountability. So that's the mindset of the Black community. When that thing leaves, when we stop telling ourselves and living in a delusional world where it's like, oh, well, Black people are only important to the extent in which we as the Black community deem them to be important, because that's what we're saying with our actions. When we stop living in that fallacy, people on the outside will treat us with a different level of respect, because then you will become what it is that you were destined to become. Just who you are, Live in your right and in your own being, but stop doing the things that lead to you being in these situations. That's the simplest way I can put it.
I agree. So can I ask you, Doctor, what are the pitfalls that prevent us from doing that? Because
Mindset.
From what I see,
People like
there's,
Dennis.
No, I'm gonna answer.
but there's
Are y'all-
also
are y'all serious?
propaganda as well too that pushes the fact that we have to give our accountability away to the government.
To a certain level, perception of that social ineptness, right? Your perception is your reality. So if I'm a part of the Black community and I feel like I'm being targeted, what's going to happen is if I'm a person who has access to young people that are growing up in the Black community, I'm going to condition them with that mindset that I have. And that's the problem. That's the solution as well. Change your mindset.
How you? Oh my God.
Go. What were you about to ask Dennis? How you what? How do you what, Dennis?
I just don't understand. I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. What was the beneficial of them white people having 1965? We had to fight for our civil rights. 1968, we had to fight for the right to vote, right? And right now they're imposing voter suppression laws in Georgia because they lost Georgia.
They're not.
It's
right?
not voter suppression. It's having a fucking voter ID. Nigga, you need an ID to drive and do everything else. Why would you not want to? Why would you not want to make sure the person?
I speak, I get interrupted, but
We answered your
Jefferson,
question.
You're putting out lies. So I live in Georgia, obviously, in Atlanta. So I was a part of those people, wonderful folks recounting those ballots that were mailed in. Voter fraud was a thing that happened here. There were lots of people that were dead and voted.
Did you believe in the?
No, I'm not. But the point is this: voter suppression is a reality. If a person is not allowed, wait, let me finish. If a person is not allowed to vote in their district or they don't have access to vote in their district, if you close those polls in their district, that is voter suppression. However, in the state of Georgia, voter suppression does not equate to requiring a person to have an ID because we have voter fraud. Voter fraud is also an issue. And so what you have
everywhere
so require a person in the Black community. That's not voter suppression?
Right now, they didn't close polling stations. That's not what happened this time.
No, they're not, bro.
That's not
what happened. Midterm elections happen, and you see what happens.
That would be y'all folk doing it
right now. We have an election coming up in Atlanta right now. This is an election year for us. But anyway,
I'm talking about midterm elections, national elections.
We never close polling places. If anything, we open up more every year.
They use public arenas like the NBA was allowing them to use stadiums all across the U.S. to allow people to vote. Like you speaking a whole bunch of Democratic rhetoric without even looking this shit up.
Bro. What are you talking about, Democratic rhetoric?
It's not facts.
Don't look at the numbers of the last election.
So
Tell
it's
us
a bad
there was
thing.
a problem.
Dennis, so Dennis, it's a bad thing to want to be able to verify that the person voting is actually themselves. That's a bad thing.
Help me understand, because there were a lot of dead people that voted in this last election.
I'm trying to process what you guys, because this.
They have been dead for a couple of years, not just coronavirus death.
So what I'm trying to get from you, because you're a very intelligent woman, that you're telling me that there's no obstacles in the Black community.
She didn't say there was none.
It's mental.
That's what I'm saying.
Racism isn't the most pressing.
Right?
Racism isn't the most pressing issue in the Black community.
That's what I'm saying.
Who said it was?
You talking about police brutality in the white system. You said the white system holding people back.
If just because it happens on a daily basis doesn't mean that it's a contraindication to success of the Black person. You are in control of what it is that you either do or don't do. And that also means that you're in control of what you expose yourself to. I know plenty of people that grow up in the hood every single day and they come into my office for therapy and they let me know, Dr. J, I just saw a dead body walking down the hallway today on my way to school. And I feel sorry for those kids. But at the end of the day, they do not go out and experience other things that will put them in a place to where they're now the suspect for their dead body. They don't go out of their houses and decide to keep the company of people who are selling drugs, using drugs, and things like that, because they want a better life for them and they want to overcome their trauma. When you become that person that decides that you don't want to be an element of your system and you want to be something greater, that is what you will do. If you decide not to, you will go ahead and do what society is exposing. You don't have your own independent mind.
Dr. Jefferson, I'm not saying that we have choices. I'm just saying that, like I said, if you take the route that you're saying, I want to go become a doctor, a lawyer, a barber, a plumber, electrician, any trade that you want to become in. I'm saying it is not as easy as it is for a white man as it is for a black man.
Is.
That's not true.
White kids go to public school too, bro.
Exactly.
They go to public school just like you. They eat the same lunch just like you.
So what you saying is, I'm not saying it's like they're going to stop me from going to that trade school because I'm black. No, it's not inherently racist like that anymore. What I'm saying is it's going to be trials and tribulations I'm going to have to go through as a black man in America that white man will never experience. It's like being...
That's not true.
No, wait. Let him tell me which ones. Tell me what now.
Can I elaborate?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. Tell me in 2021 what trial and tribulation you can go through.
Let's say I'm driving to that job, right? And that job, I'm an electrician, right? I'm an apprentice. I'm driving through an all affluent white neighborhood, right? And I get pulled over by the police and they ask me, boy, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Right? But
they won't say boy.
How would you know? You're not a black man, so how would you know? You're not speaking.
But this is all hypothetical, so you guys can't even argue this.
To me. That hadn't happened to me.
Go ahead with the example.
Nobody's saying that, but go ahead.
No one can win the argument. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's say they said, boy, what are you doing in this neighborhood? I'm here.
I'm getting pulled over. I'm getting harassed, right? That's making my day harder.
No, you're not. You're getting pulled over, not harassed. That's their job, to police the community.
Oh, pull over. Oh, what are you doing in this neighborhood?
That's because apparently you're saying that you're driving through a neighborhood that is affluent neighborhood that you do not live in. That's what you just told me.
Okay, what's your answer to them?
There are people who live in that neighborhood that would really, really hope that the police are making sure that their neighborhood is safe from people that don't live there, that don't frequent there, because they are used to who comes and goes in that neighborhood, right? So I would want them to pull you over because your car doesn't look familiar. I would want them to pull me over. And I live there because I got a new car, to just see that, oh my God, oh, this is her, so let her go. The thing is, that's regular policing. That's what policing is. Yes, it is. I've been in camp, Red Diamond, Dam. That's what we do when we're over there. We don't live in Iran and Iraq. When we're responsible for policing them because we're military that have a presence in their country. If we see a car that has not been coming through this neighborhood frequently, even the past week, and all of a sudden it's coming, the fuck you mean? We're getting killed by IEDs every day. So yeah, we're gonna stop the car because that's called police.
That's a matter. No, you said IED. That's a matter of life and death. So
and guess what? It's a matter of life and death in these neighborhoods as well. That's why you have police there, because
you're pulling me over on the basis of my skin tone. That's why you're pulling me over.
They're pulling you over because they can't see your skin tone through your car. Your car is unfamiliar.
They can't. You really telling me a police can't see my skin tone?
Well, Dennis, here's the problem with what you're saying, Dennis. You said that Savage was profiled because he looks like a racist skinhead, and you're profiled because you black. So that means the police are just profiling people anyway.
Right.
It's not just because you black.
No.
You said earlier he was profiled.
Profiling is a part of the process too.
Not just that. The only person that said anything racist towards anybody was to me.
I gotta go because I gotta go pick up my.
No, because I was talking.
Why do Ku Klux Klan members wear hoods?
So you can't see their face.
The same reason Bloods and Crips wear bandanas over their face.
I asked Dr. Jefferson.
I have no idea because I'm not a member of the KKK. So you would have to ask them. The KKK members that I have spoken to,
you know why? They want to turn back to their regular schedule.
We're going to get him the fuck up out of here. We got him the fuck up out of here.
So a couple things here. A, I'm an electrician. B, I live in Cleveland. C, I live in the hood. And D, I've been pulled over in a...
What type of a hood, though?
In a drug... I'm the only white person on the fucking street.
So a black hood.
I'm in the hood. There
There's
is
white
no
hoods
white
too.
hood. There's not.
That could be a trailer park is a
There
white
is,
hood.
yeah.
sir.
There's white hoods.
No. There's no. What you should understand is a trailer park is AKA a trailer park. A hood is a hood. These have
Hood
terms.
stands for neighborhood, short for neighborhood, man. But go ahead.
No, a neighborhood is a neighborhood. A hood is because there's not neighbors. There is a difference.
That's
I've always had
that's semantics. But go ahead.
It's not
Yeah,
semantics because a lot of hoods have abandoned houses in them. When you go
I can go to the hood right now.
there's
and be
no
next to
abandoned
neighbors.
They
houses.
have
in.
neighbors.
Yeah, you don't have neighbors when there's 5 abandos on your fucking house.
I'm gonna make sure I go live from the hood to prove that misconception to you.
Exactly. Go ahead.
But what you need to understand is I have been pulled over for being white in a black neighborhood because they assumed that I was buying drugs. Like, they profile people based on the area that you're in and what goes on in that area. It's that simple. They're trying to stop crime. Like, you don't get pulled over for being black. You get pulled over for a turn signal, and you happen to be black. Cops tell us all. I've been pulled over multiple times where they said that my turn signal was out or my license plate light was out, and it wasn't. Cops do pretextual stops all the time because majority of the time they find evidence is from a traffic stop and a pretextual stop. So
I agree.
A lot of people that are coming from shootings, a lot of people that are selling drugs, human trafficking, all these things most of the time come from a pretextual stop.
Yes, I agree completely with that. But the question, I just want to add to what you're saying here. When it comes to the pretext, it's all about who they decide that they're going to focus on. Because if you're in a car and you're looking around, you have a whole bunch of people that are passing you by. There are times when they'll focus on a specific person for whatever reason. And then they look for something, the pretext, to pull you over. Right? So it happens all the time. But it could go both ways. As you mentioned, for you, if you're in a black neighborhood and you're a white guy, that could happen to you, just like a black guy in a white neighborhood. It could happen. The pretext is there based on that bias. That's all.
Yeah, but you know the problem, though? You know the problem with this issue? I don't cry about getting pulled over in a black neighborhood and being told you're white, you shouldn't be here.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat that?
When I get pulled over in a black neighborhood and they tell me that I'm white and shouldn't be over here because this is a drug area, and if they see me over here again, they'll arrest me, I don't cry about it. I don't say that I can't get anywhere in life. I don't do any of that shit.
But are they saying that to you, that you're white, you shouldn't be here? Because remember, you remember what Dennis said? When Dennis said boy, you said the cops wouldn't say that. So would the cops say that to you?
But again, to go back, you can be
don't deflect. Don't deflect.
I'm not deflecting.
Would the cops say that to you?
I'm not fucking
would the cops say that?
The cops would say that. They have said that because you can openly be racist to white people. Openly.
And vice versa, right?
No, you cannot.
Yeah, you
to a black person.
No, you can't be openly racist to black people right now. Absolutely.
No. What do you mean? That don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's been out.
Be openly racist.
Hate crime.
You can't.
When you say openly, what are you referring to? As in the media?
You can't say the word nigger to a black person.
That's not what we're referring to.
Nothing deemed racist. Nothing deemed racist.
That's openly being racist to a black person.
You can't say boy, coon, none of that shit.
Because you will be locked up, and they will lock you up. They don't care if it's a white police officer or a black police officer. As a result of everything
they won't lock you up for saying boy.
If a person makes a black
person, let me make this clear.
They don't lock police up for that. There's a complaint that's made, but nothing comes of it.
That's what I'm saying. So if that black person makes the complaint that by your language and calling them boy, they felt like you were threatening them or you were speaking to them in a threatening tone, that is considered to be a terroristic threat.
No cop has ever been sent to jail for saying that. Let's be real now.
I'm just stating the facts right now.
He's in Canada.
Now, pardon my presence. I can't confirm that a cop has been locked up for it, but I can't say that they haven't either, because again, if you have a history of doing this to people, then you are no longer like serving your community. You're a threat to the
Yes.
community.
You might be reprimanded, you might lose your job, but you're not going to jail for that.
No.
People in the community and cops are two different things. So what happens with police officers when you make a complaint or file a grievance against them, they go through the internal review process, and typically they put that person on administrative leave and all of that jazz before they take any further action. Now, if the person decides to press charges, that's a whole different thing. So of course they would have to arrest them because the person decided to press charges, right? So you're dealing with a whole different situation. Criminal charges against someone is very different than
you're also putting two things together though.
Sorry, I can't hear you well.
I said criminal charges against someone is different than the grievance. The grievance is
No, I heard you. I'm referring to the Savage guy.
Okay.
You are inflating two different things.
Go ahead.
So you openly can't be racist at all. It's a fact. What I said that what didn't have to do with cops. So when it comes to a cop, you can sue the department for racism. There will be problems for that, but you can't, as a white person, sue the department for them being racist towards you. I can't get Dennis taken off YouTube because he said racist shit to me. But if I say something that he perceives to be racist, he can get me taken off YouTube.
That's not true. There's a lot of black YouTubers there's a lot of black YouTubers who've been banned and lost their channel.
Yes, by other black people.
Yeah.
Black women take down.
No one knows who the complainer is as far as the race. What do you mean by that?
Because
YouTube does
content. So YouTube looks at the content of the complaint. So
yeah, not the complainer.
So if the content of the complaint says that, oh, he called me a white boy, he's not going to get him removed. However, if the black person that's making the complaint says, oh, he called me a black boy, and that was offensive to me, they will get the other person removed because that's all it takes. He doesn't have to have went as far as
how about the N-word
or nigga with the R, the hard R.
No, it's allowed. It's allowed on YouTube. That's not even a part of the words that could get someone banned.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. He called me. Perceived threat in the message. Not he used the word. He called me blank. Just that by itself. And to answer your question, June, I have no idea why. Who am I to say why they come up with these laws? But mostly I say it's just for crowd control.
So that cop happened in Ohio with that 16-year-old girl that was trying to stab that other girl. There was a cop that was asked, "Are you going to shoot the other black teenagers?" And the cop said to this woman, "As long as you're not going to stab somebody." He got fired because that was perceived to be racist.
Mm-hmm.
What was me? You bad to be white.
I didn't say that.
Y'all got it so hard in America. Woo!
Dennis, so do black people apparently like yourself who claim you make six figures. You got it so hard, high value man. Woe is me.
You make six figures, Dennis?
The police just ain't whooping my ass.
I agree to what the urban therapist said. If Trey was doing a better job at managing and posting his comments, I would have had to find the comment section myself. But
I'm sorry, I'm definitely distracted. My apologies, ma'am. What did he say? Just to be fair comment?
He just go whatever one he finds.
Is that the one?
Them now. I'm reading them all.
Hey, but I've been called all kind of names in your damn comment section too, man. I feel offended.
You should be coming up here speaking out in ignorant shit.
What kind of? I don't see.
You know how we get down. We're trying to educate you, my black brother.
You can't educate me talking about, America got a level playing field when it don't.
Yeah,
no one has a level playing field,
bro.
Yeah, it's not level.
It does. It's level for those people who can compete on that level. So this is what. Let me make this real clear.
I want to look you in your eye and you tell me that. I want to look you square in your brown eye.
Why haven't you left?
America's on a level playing field.
Why haven't you left, Dennis? If it's so bad and unfair, why are you still here?
No, but wait. Here's what I'm gonna explain. Okay, and hear me well when I say this. Okay, don't half hear me. So back in the day, there was a thing where Black people, just because they were Black, were allowed in certain spaces, right? Does everybody remember when that happened? Oh, you guys are really young, but I'm sure your textbooks taught you about it.
Segregation.
Nope, not post-segregation. So you're close.
Oh, you're talking about redlining.
Nope, not redlining.
Man,
Jim
all
Crow?
the obstacles we had to overcome.
Bring it in.
Slavery.
You didn't have to
I missed
overcome
the whole
shit,
question. I
Dennis.
ain't gonna-
Bring it in.
Go
Just
ahead.
before.
Don't know.
Keep
I said
saying
we.
it, Dennis.
I said
Dennis,
we.
no, ain't no we. You didn't have to. I didn't have to
It's
overcome
the
it.
same
You didn't
as-
have to overcome it.
So it's the same as now, right? When we say that so you have to have a certain population of people that represent the quoted, the minority, represented minority, employed at your
You're
establishment.
talking affirmative action.
That's called affirmative action, right?
There you go. There you go. So now we're bringing it in. So what happened is, due to this movement, a lot of Black people were unfairly placed in spaces that they should not have been in. And this is by their own, I guess, assumption, or what they consider to be their outcome, right? Because they say that what happened to them during those times that they were placed in those particular schools, during the time that they were placed in those particular spaces, they did not have the basic level of education or prerequisite education that they would consider to be adequate for them to perform adequately in those spaces. As a result, even though they received degrees from those institutions, even though they graduated from those institutions, because affirmative action is very much like No Child Left Behind, they did not benefit from being a part of those institutions, and instead it retarded them. And just so you guys understand the proper language, retardism means that you slow the propensity for progress, or you go back and you redact what progress was there.
Regressed.
But everybody doesn't know what regression means.
No, come on. Don't insult us.
She was correlating that to the word retarded, saying that it means slow.
But he's right.
To slow down something.
But a lot of people don't know. There are some people, because you never know who's going to watch which YouTube videos. So PR says you have to take it down to the standard of 8th grade level.
This is the Toxic Masculinity Show. We do what the fuck we want to.
MoneyBoy Trey, I got to salute to you, man. Shout out to Mad Militant. He put me on your channel. Thank you very much for having me. Salute Dr. Jefferson, Savage, part of my presence. How's it going, Dennis?
What's going on?
Do you have a question for Dr. Jefferson?
Well, I just wanted to ask, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I came in about the last 30 minutes.
You can just ask her anything. We're being all up in her business.
I just wanted to ask, though, do we at least acknowledge that there is somewhat bias in the criminal institution in this country?
No.
Bias is everywhere.
I agree, but I'm speaking specifically in the criminal element of America.
So if people are responsible for running these particular elements that you're talking about, then bias does exist, simply because people have their own perceived
inherent bias.
That's us too. Black people too. We all have biases. When you walk out and you say this, I don't know how many of you have Prime. I think they said it's on Prime, but how many of you have watched them? That's a great full circle movie or series for you guys to go and watch, so you can move into a place where, you know, you have a better understanding of what's there and you might be missing inside of yourself. So sometimes we come into a conversation and we think that a person is there to attack us because we present with a certain view. But the reason we feel that way is because we allow the words or the reputation that someone else has given us about this person to precede our personal encounter with them. That's all bias.
Okay.
100%. Okay, and it happens every single day because that's who we are. This young man, what's his name? Dennis.
We ignoring him.
But no, Dennis asked at the onset of the conversation, he asked the question, he was like, well, where did you get your education from? And where did you get your medical degree or something like that, right?
Yep.
And I entertained it. Why? Because some people do have biases about the institution that you decided to go and get your degree from, right? He didn't ask me anything about my human services degrees. He didn't ask me about that. That's a whole separate line of education. You understand what I mean? A whole separate 7 years. But I answered the question that he was asking me, right? So his biases for institutions would lead where he goes with the conversation next. That's a good thing, a bad thing, or whatever thing to Dennis. To me, it's an indifferent thing because I understand people have biases and that's okay. I want your biases to help lead your passion for conversation because at the end of the day, you might be looking for a better understanding in that area where you're biased, or you may just be there to go ahead and present your arguments. And arguments are really healthy when it comes to expanding perception. So it's not that I don't feel like some of these systems that we talk about every day are without or, biases. It's that I understand that biases are a very, very essential component to proper functioning in society. We need biases in order for us to put our best face on every single day, to go to work and do our best work every single day, in order to have ethics, morality, spirituality, help and grounded, in our principles in life. We need biases. That's a necessary component. So everybody has them. They are necessary. However, when we see that another person's biases don't fit our own agenda, and we become offended by that, that is a problem.
I'm glad you explained it that way because the way I was thinking before, I wasn't quite understanding it, but now I completely understand exactly what you're saying. It's just I feel like, especially when we're talking as far as law enforcement, though, I do feel like there's certain biases, however, that can be so dangerous for us. A big example of that, I feel like, is because we've all, I don't know about you guys, but I've needed to have the conversation of what to do. Every time I get pulled over by a cop, I turn off my car. Before I even stop the car, I make sure that my ID is in my hand, my right hand's on the steering wheel to make them feel better. You can make an argument that that is a bias because I'm sure Becky don't have to do all that.
Well,
However,
do you do that? Do you do that with black officers as well?
I do that with every officer, MoneyBoy. I turn off my car every time the blue lights is on. I turn off my car, not for me, to make them feel better. You get what I'm saying?
See, at least you're saying you do it for all.
And to be honest with you, that's a proper response. Because let me tell you something. I mentioned that I'm a military retiree, and I was as a lieutenant colonel from the United States Army and Secret Services. There is one thing that grinds my gears and really hurts me the most. So, I served a tour of duty where we were taken hostage, and I came back to this country with a soldier, and he decided to be a state trooper in the state of Tennessee, 2004, and he lost his life to a drunk, belligerent black man that he decided to trust because this man was just being pulled over because he was just in and out of lanes.
Right.
And he felt like at no point did he need to draw his service weapon. When we police cities in Blue Diamond, he was never off his game. He came back here to lose his life terribly and to be gunned down because he let this man get to his car. He let him not only get to his car, this man opened fire on him. He still didn't reach for his service weapon. Instead, he reached for a taser because he felt like he could tase the man safely, and the man was too drunk to be able to fire his weapon. You understand what I'm saying? And he lost his life that day, and so did his partner. He had a brand new baby, had been back in the States for 7 months. 18-month-old daughter. And for me, that broke my heart because people are not trained to properly respond to law enforcement when they're making traffic stops. Yes, you are supposed to make sure that your hands are on the wheel. That is an innate thing because they have a job to do. Yes, you are supposed to turn your vehicle off. These are regular things. When people stop me, when police officers stop me, because I speed a lot, not going to lie about it.
Same here.
When I'm stopped by the police, I make sure that I do that, not only in honor of him, but also because I know what it's like to be that police officer that's walking up to that car and you don't know who's in it, where their mind is, what they're going to do, what weapons they do or don't have. So, and not only that, I have a combat war veteran Purple Heart on my tag. So I know the person in the car has killed somebody.
And
I know they know.
But you also know that you were speeding.
Not only that, but I know that they know there is a threat. The last time I was stopped was 2 months ago. And there were 6 police cars that showed up before that officer approached my car. Mm-hmm. And it was myself and my kids and my dog. He saw myself, my kids, and my dog. When I flew past him doing about 115. But that's not the point.
So do you think that happened because you were a black woman?
I did not at any point. Of course, you think he saw my face when I was flying past him? I'm sure he saw a lot of people in the car. And he saw a lot of elements moving. He saw my dog in the back. But he ain't see my color.
Oh, my God.
And my windows are super tinted.
Dennis, if you want to just be a perpetual victim, go ahead, brother.
I guarantee when he ran my tag, he knew who I was. And I'm pretty sure that's why he called all those officers. And that's okay. I have no problem with him doing his job. When he approached my vehicle, did he have his hand on his service weapon? No, he did not. Was he disrespectful? No, he was not. Did he ask me to keep my hands on the wheel? Nope. Didn't ask me to do that either. What he did is he approached the vehicle and he asked me for my license and registration. I said, so not going to tell me why you stopped me?
So you were combative.
He smiled at me and he said, how fast were you going? I said, well, I was speeding, so that's why you stopped me. Look, I'm just curious.
Dr. Jefferson, PMP asked a very valid question, like, so you were combative?
Oh, I was getting my stuff, but I was, in the process asking him that question. But
so yes, you were combative, like we say black women typically are.
Combative. I asked him the question because normally when people stop me, that's the first thing they say. Damn, where you going so fast? And the reality is I was running out of gas. Like I literally, the gas light was on E. And
so if you knew you were speeding, why he have to ask you, why he had to tell you why he pulled you over?
Because I didn't see the little thingy. He didn't have that out. So my thing is, did he know how fast I was going?
Did you know how fast you were going?
Of course.
But you admitted that you were speeding, so it's all the case.
Of course.
But what people don't realize when it comes down to, there's also procedures. If they run your plate and you're over 6 foot tall, it's automatic that they get a second car. Also, if it's drug related, they get another car. If they think you have a weapon, they get backup. Yeah. There are multiple procedures that they do that has nothing to do with anything other than their safety. Because when police get killed, they die on the side of the road in traffic stops. That's the most dangerous thing for a cop to do. When it comes to the court system, the reason it's hard to say that biases, it's hard to make a straight conclusion when it comes to biases, is because you have a judge, you have prosecutors, you have jurors, you have your attorney, you have the argument that your attorney can make, you have a part of law where it comes down to circumstance. Circumstance can get you a lesser sentence. Like there are so many moving parts in a court case that you can't say, well, it's because he's black. Your prior history, like there's all sorts of things that happen within a single case that you can't put it to just it being racist. Like there was those two people in California. That lady flipped that dude off and he shot into her car and killed her six-year-old son. Well, they had a manhunt for two weeks for it. do you think because the woman that was driving didn't end up saying something or turning herself in, do you think that's going to go better for her or worse for her when she comes to getting sentenced? Like, the way that the case unfolds itself determines how you're going to get treated. It's just how it works.
Life sentence regardless.
I mean, either way, you know, that cop did everything that he was supposed to do. I never even saw the faces of the other police cars that pulled up. To me, it didn't matter either way, you know, but I have a piece of advice. If you guys go to Toccoa, Georgia, or wherever that is, it's something that I never heard before. Don't speed, because like they totally will give you a ticket. Like, I've never gotten a ticket ever. And yeah, I speed, I get stopped. But what? You gave me a ticket? Like, what?
I mean, I've definitely about getting pulled over. It's been 2 ways. I've been having the, you know what I'm saying, the nice cops that have come up and, hey, how's it going today? All right. And then I've had those officers that came up to me with they hand on their hip ready for it, you know. It's a mixed bag. It's really a mixed bag.
But what did your prior say when they ran your tag?
I'm clean as a whistle, brother.
But that's
clean as a whistle.
And I don't have a problem with a police officer having his hand on his service weapon. Let me make that very clear. All I said is that he didn't. I don't have a problem with that.
Because a little different about that, sis. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You have your hand on your service weapon, it's not a threat to me.
If I do everything right, like we talked about, turned off the car, everything else, and you walk up with your hand already, it lets me know that you already have a preconceived notion of what may happen.
A lot of them do that because that's procedure, because they have to be ready in case you pull something on them.
Especially if it's multiple people in the car. You don't know who's in the back seat, who has and who doesn't.
It's mostly happened with just me in the car. You get what I'm saying?
So let me ask you a question. If you notice that scenario, one of the things I noticed that a lot of times people get into trouble based on what they say to the police officer, right? If you advise them, hey, there's no weapons in the vehicle, I'm not intoxicated, I haven't taken any drugs, right there, that should de-escalate some things because it establishes.
No, unless they ask you those questions, why are you saying those things?
The point I'm making is that if you feel that they have a certain preconceived notion, it's something that you could say to inform them. Look, there's nothing for you to act that certain way where you feel that I'm a threat. That's all I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm letting you know that their training is about what people do to manipulate the system to prevent them from searching the vehicle, and everything can be right, but drugs are now in the car. So if you're letting them know things before they even go down that rabbit hole of asking those questions, their question is now, even if they didn't previously have a preconceived notion that you thought they had, their question is, why are they letting me know these things? This isn't even what I was curious about. And let's just figure out if they actually have. So let's step out the car. Let me search the car. You understand what I'm saying? So you're giving them reason to suspect that there is something because you're refuting something they haven't even asked.
Right. And part of my presence, I get what you're saying. That's why for me turning off my car, that should be an automatic signal. Like, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to evade. I'm staying right here.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, plenty of people jump out of the car. I've seen them be.
But that should be a sign that you're somewhat complying and you're not going to do something. No. There still may be some assholes.
No, this could totally be your neighborhood, dude. What you talking about? Like the young man that was gunned down, and I think that was Minnesota. Was it Minnesota? And I did this huge live on it like a year and a half back. The shit broke my heart because he was on live while he was doing it, and I'm just like, people got to do a better job at teaching their kids the ins and outs of life, like seriously. But he was on live. He was in a stolen vehicle. He was, talking to his friends, telling them to pull up, come get him, told him where he was so he could run through the cut and meet them. But obviously they weren't there. Like, he stopped the car, cut the car off, was still on live, running with his phone. And the police are telling him to stop. And it's clear that he didn't have a weapon because he didn't have a shirt on. And his pants halfway off his ass. But past that, you understand what I'm saying? I don't feel like they should have shot him down because at no point did he pose a threat, and he was just definitely being a asshole. Should have used a taser or something, okay? But he could have easily gotten away. The cop was coming up to the car. He opened the door and was gone. Like, what you talking about? Phone on and everything. We saw the whole thing from his perspective. So people do that. And I think that the reality is this. He was wrong. He never should have been in that situation. He never should have stole those people's car. And when he realized that he was caught, he should have just went ahead and got arrested. It's so less invasive for you to just get arrested. You don't have to lose your life because you know you're wrong and you're trying to avoid prosecution.
But I think that's the main issue as to why the numbers seem skewed, is because a lot of times we try to be our own lawyer when we get pulled over by the police. We start to argue then instead of keeping your mouth shut and let the lawyer argue for you. And a lot of times it's because, one, we can't afford a lawyer or a good lawyer, and we have to rely on legal aid, and they're overworked. So I'm telling you what the perception is.
So why do you guys think that good lawyers are not the free lawyers? Help me understand your perception behind that.
Because with legal aid, they're overworked. So they get a lot of different cases. They don't have the time to put in. Okay, put it this way. If you got arrested, would you bank on a legal aid or would you actually pay for a lawyer?
I've used
You're going to
both.
pay.
No, I've used both.
We all go to school together. So whether we're offering free services or not, you're still the same quality of a doctor as the one that isn't. So it's
this is not this. But hold on, but we all know when it comes to a service that when it comes to a service that you're providing, if you can afford a good lawyer, you are not going to leave your life, your future in the hands of a public defender.
Yeah, that's
I've used both of them.
They all went to the same law school. They all went through the same legal process when they came.
Hours billed.
I have no felonies, and I've used a public defender, and I've paid for attorneys. I have no felonies.
Hold on, this Chris person.
What was your reason? What was your reason for taking the public?
My reason is some of the charges I already knew how much they cost if I paid for a lawyer, and I was like, I can get the public defender to do the same thing.
Yeah, so it wasn't about your innocence at that point. It was strategic based on finances. It would make sense to go with a cheaper lawyer in that case. We're talking about having your life on the line. If jail time's involved.
The idea is don't commit the crime. Like, that's the idea. Not doing the stuff that leads you into the system. But the reality is they go to the same law school. And this person, he said that the lawyer is working for the government. Let me let you know something, okay? My father was a pretty prominent defense attorney. Let me explain something. They all go to lunch together, including your attorney.
They're
all
colleagues,
together. They're all the same. Even your paid attorney. It's nothing. Why do you guys y'all can't really think that?
They do.
You can't really think. Just because one person gets a judge appointment and the next person continues to practice as an attorney doesn't mean they didn't copy off each other's paper. What are you thinking?
And that the public defender is only doing that for experience to get into private practice, become a prosecutor, or become a judge.
And sometimes they're not, though. Sometimes the public defender is working in the public defender's office because they've not been able to get enough scalable cases in order for them to move into a partnership with the law firm. And that's what they've had their eye on.
Correct, but it's not always about the skill. It's also about the time and the resources that they have to work on a particular case.
It's never about skill. It's always about relationships. Because if you got a good relationship with the prosecutor and the judge, you can get a lot of shit like inadmissible. Correct. You can get a whole bunch of objections.
And those are usually the lawyers have to pay money for.
No, they all kick it with each other. The public defender still kicks it with the prosecutor.
They sure do.
The prosecutor still goes and golfs with the judge and the public defender and the paid attorney.
No, that I understand, but where's the pull? Okay, put it this way: when it comes to private practice and criminal law and criminal lawyers, the ones who are better, the ones who charge more and their fees are more, they have more pull. They know all the judges. They know all the different ins and outs to
They
get you
all know
off.
all the judges.
The public defender does not have that same pull, or else it wouldn't be a public defender.
Yes, he
No, that's not
does.
true. You have when you're
Okay.
getting out when you're moving out of law school after you take your bar exam, you have a certain amount of time that you have to dedicate to public service anyway. In order for you to say that you are a public servant, you have to render public service. And so when you're becoming an attorney, it doesn't matter about your experience and how many wins or losses you got when you were going through your internship under somebody else practicing. It really matters. And it's not about who you know and who you don't know, because essentially if you work in one circuit, you know all the judges. You know
but then there's got to be a difference between that lawyer that's going to bill you $200 an hour versus that public defender, though. There has to be a difference there.
Namesake and relationship.
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking.
It's the politics of it, the public perception. So politics of it is public perception. So as a clinician, I am more qualified than most people rendering the same service. So my rate is extremely high compared to theirs, right? But why is my rate higher? Seriously. If we're rendering the same service for the same consumer with the same diagnosis, why is it higher? My
name brand value.
Right. So my tenure comes before me. I've been doing this in a certain way for a certain amount of time, and my outcomes say a certain thing. So more people are aware of the type of services that I'm rendering than that other company that I'm charging you $700 less. People trust me with their care because they know that on the outcome, there is a guarantee of healing, that component. You understand? And the other person, they can't guarantee that because they're thinking like, oh my God, their price is real cheap. When in the same sense, I could have been the one that trained that other clinician.
So you're saying it's more of a public perception that a public defender just is not as good as those higher scale lawyers.
Yeah, you got to get out your own way. You got to get out of your way. I've seen a lot of rookie lawyers.
We're not talking about the skill level. We're not talking about the skill level of the actual lawyer. We're talking about the fact that they don't have the hours. You don't have the hours and resources. If I'm paying $20,000 for a lawyer, if I'm paying $20,000 for a lawyer, that money doesn't just go to a lawyer itself. It goes to law clerks. It goes to paralegals who are working to build a case, to go through the discovery, to go through all the evidence, to find the holes. If I'm going to a public defender, it's just them. It might be maybe one or two other people max. When you're dealing with an established law firm, you have more people working on your case. That's why you pay more, right? So this is why the odds are better when you're able to pay more for a lawyer, because the amount of people that are going to be working on your case, it's better for you to look at all of the evidence, to look at the holes, to have investigators, to have specialists and people who could testify on your behalf. All of that comes when you're paying that amount. That's why they bill so high.
So,
and that makes a difference when it comes to the outcome of your case.
So wait, let's go based off of what you're saying, okay? So the more eyes on your case, the more people who are doing research on your case, the better your odds. That's what your argument is, correct? Correct? Yes or no?
So I can't hear you. Say that again. Say that again.
So you're saying the more eyes on your case, the more people researching your case, the better your odds. Is that not what you're saying? Is that your argument?
Yeah, in order to fight your case properly against the prosecution, yeah.
Paralegals do most of that work.
Wait.
Exactly. That's all part of it. Go ahead.
Hold on. So how many people can argue your case legally in the court of law? How many people can speak at a time when they're arguing your case against you?
One lawyer. But I'm talking about the work in the background. But go on.
So if my law firm has several different lawyers and I have a separate legal team who is doing the research and the legwork for the case, right? Who's to say that my very qualified self didn't decide to go out and get drunk last night and stay out until 4 a.m. And when I got to work this morning, knowing that I had your hearing at 9 a.m., when my team started to brief me at 8 a.m., when I got to work, half dressed, half baked, right? Who's to say that I'm in the right mental capacity to soak up all that research that they've given all of their time to and really represent you properly in court?
That's an extreme example. That's like me saying, what if I commit a crime on my way to my trial? That's an extreme example.
It's really not. I just told you my father was a defense attorney, so he was around a lot of them. And I watched the behavior of them before trials, before trial time, during the process of their team doing very in-depth research. I've seen the arguments that go back and forth between the team, the differences in perspective. And I've also saw that sometimes the people doing the research should probably be the one representing them and presenting that case in court.
Yeah, but they can't because they don't have the qualifications to do so. But I'm talking about
They do. They're all bar certified attorneys, but they don't have the team
law clerks
behind them. The research team is typically their legal students that are going through or finishing their hours, their clinical hours. So they're all lawyers.
Maybe it's different where you guys are, but paralegals cannot do that.
So
they're not lawyers.
So your paralegal team hands off that evidence to the qualified background attorneys. So the background attorneys are the people that don't get court time. That's how the system really works. And then even further, if you went into it even more in depth, your attorney more than likely doesn't even go to trial. Most of the attorneys that you guys initially vet for services, they're not trial attorneys. They're just meant to do the legwork initially and hand it off to a separate person they have a business associate agreement with to represent you in court because they have trial time. They know what it's like. And so they're the ones that are more responsible typically. With a public
defender, isn't that the same person at every point?
No,
it's not. It's their own rotation. There's a lot of them.
Okay, but is it the actual public defender or do they have people working for them or underneath them?
All of the different lawyers that are in the public defender's office or in the DA's office has an opportunity to present and say they want the case, to vie for the case, to have the case assigned to them to be the attorney on record. So that person is typically the one who did the most legwork, and they run with it. So that's the difference. And you go into these different criminal attorneys who you're paying a lot of money on retainer, but you're not doing your due diligence to make sure that they're qualified and they're doing all the legwork and then going in to present your case. It's like, I wish I could explain like the process they go through before they get to cases, but it's like it's like a competition, a healthy competition where, I got How to Get Away with Murder. Have you ever seen that show? If you haven't, go watch it. If you see that show, you'll see what the process really looks like, and then that'll close the arguments completely because they go through what the process actually looks like in the DA's office as well. And you see them turn and go and work for independent people in private practice or people in group practice or looking for an associate, but they come from the DA's office and they're really, really good at what they do. So it's not necessarily experience.
Okay, my question is this: when you pay that amount for a lawyer, are you not getting more people working on your case than if you were to get a free public defender? Yes or no?
Are you paying more money, you said?
No. When you're paying money for a criminal lawyer and their law firm, are more people working for you on behalf of your case than if you were to go with a free public defendant? Yes,
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. So it depends on the magnitude of the case, for one, and it depends on the resources of the attorney's office.
The size of the practice. And it could just be a one-man team.
No, it could be a large practice, though. Even in some cases, they still want to find other people to do the work because in some cases, like my cousin Terrence, he's an attorney too. He does in his practice. There are several practitioners. They have several paralegals, but one of his main things, and that's why I respect it, is that he wants to do the legwork for his case.
Did OJ get a public defender?
You said what happened?
Did OJ get a public defender?
Because he had the money
we all know
one.
Yeah, but you
had a team of lawyers, exactly. But why was a team of lawyers required?
But the
because
same
you need more.
I told you.
Because
His
you need
life was
more
on the
people to
line.
work on your file. You need more people to look at all of the evidence and discovery to build the case for you. The
No,
more money that you have to pay for your team, the better your odds are going to be.
not
But you still
necessarily.
lose. You still lose with high power lawyers.
Exactly. It's lots of people that have still lost their cases. But in OJ's case, he had so many attorneys assigned because he had a real life vie for the opportunity situation. He wanted to see who made the better arguments. He wanted to see who had the better perspective based off of him knowing something about his actual case and what actually happened. He wanted to even his odds of winning or losing before he ever hit the courtroom. So that's the reason he had so many people working for his case, because that's a very complex murder case, and we know that crimes that are tried in the judicial system isn't necessarily about what actually happened. It's about what can be proved. So
Exactly. But that's all basically what I'm saying. The more people you have to work for you, your odds are better because they're able to go through research. You had
not
multiple
necessarily.
lawyers fighting that case because you had people who were specializing in DNA evidence. You had people specializing in interactions with police. So it wasn't just Johnny Cochran who spoke. Other lawyers took over as well too and had their time representing OJ within the same legal team. But again, they all had
That's not because
yeah,
that's because OJ actually traded person to person to person,
Yes,
representing
and
him. He
and
fired
Johnny.
one, hired another one, would rehire that one and fire that one because they said what he didn't want them to say. So what I'm saying is this: you can have one person to start the case from the onset and finish it out, and they make very great arguments and they win the case for you. Or you can have a team of people do that same
right.
thing. You still lose. Either way, it's about what you entrust your future to. You, right?
I'll agree to disagree with you. I have to go anyways, man. But I enjoyed the conversation. Money
Beat
boy,
it, Canadian.
everybody else. I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Tell them where to
Easy,
find
man.
you at, sir.
Part of my presence YouTube channel. We'll talk later, man. Easy.
Holla at me.
Later days. But I like
I
the
mean,
I
I'm
like
going with a private lawyer. I'm
comment,
not
save
putting my life in no
saving the
public
money
defender's hands.
and
What,
doing your
Dennis?
own research.
I said I'm not putting my life in the hands of a public defender. Public defenders get overworked and underpaid.
Well, again, life. Yeah,
Private
you would
attorney,
probably not want to with life,
That's the
but
difference.
if
That's the
you
difference between a
facing
paid
a
lawyer
regular,
and a public defender. The public defender is underpaid and overworked. He's not getting paid the same compensation as this private lawyer. And
and
he has
guess
like
what?
maybe
Both of those
50, 60
guys have
case
gotten
load.
me off of drug charges. Both of
yeah, I
those
was
guys, the
about
free
to
one
say,
and the paid one, got me off drug
And
charges.
that's what I was gonna ask. You said with your life on the line, but what if it was something
Right?
less than, you know what I mean? What if it was something less than that, Dennis? What if
Yeah,
your life
life on.
wasn't on the line?
Yeah,
I've
life
I'm
seen
on
going
the.
with a paid
I've seen
lawyer.
public defenders get people
I'm
off
bailing out of jail.
for
I'm
murder
doing all that.
charges.
I'm not about to stay
So
and no get public defender. That man is not working for me. He's paid by the government. So his allegiance is not with me.
they're all paid by the government at some point. A lot of private attorney, most of them actually have government grants. So it doesn't matter. Like, so you're making a invalid argument either way. They
What
all
I'm
get the
saying is
same
that
money
they're
for it.
overworked.
I don't know. I don't know what just happened.
I just
Oh man.
I think the internet is going in and out. I think that there is the perception of people is so distorted now, and that's why I feel so sorry for folks that go through legal battles and they end up hiring these private attorneys. And when they don't defend them properly, they don't give them an adequate defense, they're upset, but they're out of their money. It's a lot of things that people do when they're private attorneys that they wouldn't be allowed to do and would be disallowed specifically if they were working for the state's office.
Agreed.
You understand? So you have more overhead, you have more protection, and you have a better chance if you do lose your case of coming back and arguing that you were misrepresented. And so, people, you got to play it smart. You got to make smart decisions.
Right.
You got to think about what you're doing before you're doing it. Like, you can't just decide to engage in something just because it sounds good.
Dr. Jefferson, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson.
I will definitely be subscribing. I really appreciate your insight because I've learned a lot in the last hour. I'm the type of person where if I don't know too much about something, I'm not gonna keep talking and talking and talking. I'm gonna listen. So I'm gonna definitely subscribe. You're very welcome.
Man, you
Money
need to
Boy
check
Trade
out the
is my
beginning of
first.
the show, man.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna go back and watch, man, because y'all was speaking on some real stuff. Money Boy Trade, man, this is my first time speaking with you as well, man. Salute to Mad Militant. He put me on to you, man, and I really appreciate it. You got to subscribe for me, brother.
Thank you,
Real.
brother Jordan, for coming through, man.
I know, no problem, man, no problem. Y'all just be easy, man.
And that brother on the Islamic people, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all be easy. Thank y'all for having me.
All right,
all right, Jay. I'll holler at you later on, man.
All right, brother.
Word.
So one of your viewers asked if where is your person that was in the argument with me before? I don't know.
Dennis.
I think that's what Chris asked. Something about. I think the last time that I was on this channel, there was a young lady offended by my commentary on what's his name. Kwame Brown.
Samuels and Kwame.
Yeah. Why are you echoing, weirdo?
Because my phone was doing something weird, and since I'm on a different device, I have to connect it so that I can do my outro.
Okay, but yeah, so but yeah, just because people don't agree with me doesn't mean that I don't value their insights. I feel like everybody has something valuable to add at some point to a conversation. I feel like that young guy was a perfect example of a person who is being conditioned by a system around him that enables the perpetuation of those same behaviors that leads us as people who identify with the Black community and Black and brown people. That cycle that keeps us in the mindset where we can't grow and evolve into a matured state of being. We have to be held accountable, and we have to be people that hold other folks accountable that are in our communities. So if Ray is committing a crime, I say, if you see something, say something. I really don't care about that whole snitches get stitches thing. Like, I'm not here for that, because that's what allows people to continue to do things that you have a problem with to your society, and it doesn't bother you until it hits home. So when your child is the one that's targeted and raped, when your child is the one that's targeted and shot and then killed, when your child in the hood is beat up coming home for being different, looking different, having on J's, robbed, whatever, then you want to say something. But when your child is the one doing these things, you guys want everybody around you to be silent. So my thing is, keep that same energy. If you really feel like you're a person out here that is Black in America and feels like police are not a necessity, that you don't need policing in your neighborhoods, and you feel like they're doing such a terrible job policing your community, by all means, move somewhere by yourself. Don't move anywhere close to me. I'm gonna need
DeMarco
community, okay? I am not here for the BS. All right, at all. I need police officers to do their job, because I'm not here to do their job and mine too. I need them to keep people off my yard. Matter of fact.
Got any last words, Dr. Jefferson?
That's all I got. I don't stand for defunding the police. Which side Donald Trump stand on?
He wanted to fund police more, just like Barack Obama did.
Me too. I'm with them on that view. So,
Mad, you got any last words?
Nah, this was a great show. Thank everybody in the chat, man. You know what I'm saying, for coming through.
Shout out to YouTube channel, sir.
Yeah, you can find me at Mr. Mad Militant. You know what I'm saying? I'll be posted on news and stuff, and probably catch the recap of this too. You know what I'm saying? After I talk to Money Boy in the back here.
All right.
I say I'm voting for Trump though. Like, what y'all doing? This person said, "What's my dry side?" What is this? Is this Kevin Samuels in the comment?
If that's Chris, ignore him.
Trump gonna be in office by August, from what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true. That's allegedly.
I don't want Trump old ass to run. I would rather his son run and he be the vice president. I don't want him to run. That's one of the problems I have with Biden. He old as shit.
North Carolina today, you know what I'm saying? A couple of counties down in the southern part of the state started their audits. You know what I'm saying? I think they might do the whole state over here. You know what I'm saying? And that was the Democrats that asked for it. They asked for some. That was dumb. But
I don't think Trump. I don't think Trump is going to take office. But I also equally do not believe that Joe Biden is going to finish out a full term. I think that.
I don't think he's gonna die. You think he's gonna die, or they gonna find him senile?
You don't want the Joker to take place.
To evoke the 25th Amendment. That's what I think.
So you think they're gonna find him senile and unfit to do the job?
I've said my piece.
That would be crazy though, because I mean, shit, he hadn't gotten. How worse has he gotten in 6? When are you predicting this? About year 2?
I can't.
I'm saying the next.
You can make a prediction.
I can't.
Man, the dominoes are falling fast. They're gonna try to get him out the way to protect his image as much as they could, much as they can.
My prediction is by year 2 if they try to pull something like that, halfway through his term.
So wait, Chris isn't an asshole. He's just being funny. So you really want my dress size? I wear like a small in most dresses. I wear a 6 to an 8 in other dresses. What kind of dress we talking?
He don't never come to the panel. I wouldn't even answer.
Yeah, ignore Chris. He's paid opposition. He doing his job.
I don't know. Like,
I'm telling you, he doing his job to ignore him.
But I'm definitely fat. I got fat in some places now.
How can you be fat and wear a small?
Fat jiggles.
Oh, yeah.
I've never dated a woman that was a size 7 that I considered fat.
I mean, depending on what you consider to be fat, I guess.
Clearly.
You know? But fat to me is what jiggles. You know, I have parts and stuff and things in the right places, so I'm told. I don't know. No, I'm not married. No, not currently. Yeah, but I will be again pretty soon. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Toxic Masculinity Show.
One more thing. Dennis is not allowed back on the show, man. You see the private chat? I'm out.
No, I hadn't paid attention to the private chat. I ain't studying Dennis. Dennis is he Dennis. I got to do my shameless self-promotion.
Well, my man MoneyBoy Trey in the building. He said, hit that like or we gonna fight. Make sure you check him out on YouTube.
As always, like, share.
You seriously got, like, what's that guy, Sotomayor?
Yes.
As your sponsor? Oh, my God. Fuck life.
Wait a minute. Oh, so is this going to be another show? Are you going to come and tell me about your grievances with Tommy Sotomayor?
I don't have any. I don't know much about him, but I hear that he and what's that other guy's name?
Kwame Brown.
Yeah, going back to back, and
let's talk about it.
Arguments and things like that. So I just think that's.
You see the chat room, man. We've drawn a line in the sand.
I think that's what do you call that? I think that's childish.
It is what it is. Between both of them, it is, but it is what it is. It's entertaining all of us, and that's all we can ask for.
Well, I don't know. I'm not entertained by that kind of stuff. It's foolishness. I think that with a platform as big as theirs, they should be going into the hood and keeping these kids from shooting each other. That's how I feel about that.
Wait, just because you said, "Oh my gosh," I'm gonna hit it one more time.
Well, my man MoneyBoy Trey in the building. He said, hit that like or we gonna fight. Make sure you check him out on YouTube.
You gotta say, why would I not use this high values man voice and clip of him shouting me out?
Whatever works for you. I'm here for it.
I'm waiting on Kwame Brown shout out, although I anticipate him cussing me out because I've been on his ass since we did that show.
Really? Why?
Because everything that I said on that show has gotten worse to me. And so I'm like, I was right about this guy.
Well, I think, like I said, people have to be permissive. They have to give themselves permission to have breaks when they need to have breaks away from social media. I think that he's not giving himself permission to do that. I think that he has encompassed a tremendous amount of toxic behaviors that are very narcissistic in their own right. I think that he's got to go see somebody. He needs to go see somebody.
Joker, sir, I will get you up out of here, sir. You leave Tommy alone unless you want to come in on this panel too.
I heard what's his name? Kwame Brown didn't get too many rebounds either though. Or was
and he's 7 feet.
I don't know. But I don't, like I said before, I'm not really a basketball person. I'm more into football and hockey and stuff. So it is what it is. But I just feel like it's childish for men to be going back and forth and arguing and things like that. Men in general are not supposed to have those types of behaviors in public spaces. That's private spaces like bars where nobody can see you and you can still look like you have sense about yourself when your wife is represented, your girlfriend is represented years later by you in these streets. It's women watching. Behave like.
You're definitely going to have to come back on so we can discuss that. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to her YouTube channel I've dropped it in the link several times, but I want to say the name wrong. Dr. LaQuanda Jefferson on YouTube. I've dropped the link in there several times and it's in the description box. So make sure y'all go subscribe to her channel. And as always, like, share, subscribe, and comment on my stuff or you ain't black. Peace.
MoneyBoy. Trade. Trade. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the lead. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the lead. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Counting hundreds with my amigos. Blue water, frozen Sub-Zero. Hit a lick, flip it twice, break bread with my people. Who knock and look out the people? Clutching my desert eagle. Cock, aim, squeeze, trigger, empty clip and reload. Pints, pills, 2 kilo. Bitches coming in trio. Shaking all ass, beat the pot like Migos. Last second shot and one. Free throws, no Master P, but I'm looking for the free code. Pints, pills, 2 kilos. Bitches coming in trio. Shaking all ass, beat the pot like Migos. Last second shot and one. Free throws, no Master P, but I'm looking for the free code. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the lead. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the three. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Too high geek. Top floor, nosebleed seat. 4A, 4AB. Push star, got no key. MoneyBoy, Lou got said. Take a picture, paparazzi. Quaaludes, Bill Cosby. Rape a hoe, no, not me. Hashtag MB3. Primetime NBC. On lane, I do me. Dial on, I spit heat. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the lead. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek. Private jet flights overseas. Damn pieces coming by the three. Piano Witch playing with the keys. Waterfront chilling in Belize. Greenbacks, racks, blue cheese. Murder ain't came up in the street. Good dope, no price cheap. Pop pills, too high geek.